out tonight.
Opening drive. All right, a Tuesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We had up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. We do have a packed show today. A lot of stuff to get into today and talk about. Tons and tons of stuff that we're going to weigh in on. Eclectic show. We'll talk some NFL football. We'll talk some college football. We'll talk some Major League Baseball, too. As we saw last night, the Mariners getting closer and closer to making a World Series, which is pretty awesome. You know, a team like that is waited and waited and waited and waited for a long time for this opportunity, and they are just a couple of days away, couple of games away. Either it sets up for realizing your dreams if you're a Mariners fan to watch them play in a World Series, or one of the most devastating losses in a series that you could possibly imagine if you are a Seattle Mariners fan. So 913-912-4810 is the text line. We'll talk about one of the craziest
for them.
I am
a little
too.
bit. Like I'm rooting for them and the Brewers, two teams that have never won a World Series.
Yes,
They're
I think it would be
easy to
fun.
root for.
I think it'd be a fun Brewers-Mariners World Series with the Seattle Pilots becoming the Milwaukee Brewers. And how much fun is that?
Fact or fiction? Who said that those teams were going to play against each other in the World Series?
Todd Lebo.
He said fact, I think, because he agreed with me.
Michael Darcy.
I don't know.
Me.
That's exactly what I said. I said Brewers.
No,
Mariners.
you guys said Dodgers or Phillies or something like that.
I think we said Phillies because it was like,
Yeah,
you love your Phillies. So yeah,
Look who's been on a heater. Should have put money on it. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well, if I put money on it, it would not be a heater. If you know what, Mariners, if you want, here's the thing. I'm going to guarantee a Mariners victory. I'm going to place money on the Blue Jays to win the American League Championship Series right now, which will guarantee that the Mariners will win the American League Championship Series. It's 100% fact.
No one cares about betting,
cares.
but I will say this. I feel so bad because Jason has told me the past couple days.
Oh, my God.
And they have been just those ones where you're like, oh, my gosh.
So close.
How did you not win?
So close to retiring.
And instead, he's still here.
But I get to show up every day, though. That's what it is. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Let's talk about what took place last night, and that is the Buffalo Bills losing to the Atlanta Falcons. And it's funny because, you know, while last night was a rough night in terms of parlays and player props, I told you off the air that I think the Falcons win tonight, but I'm not going to talk about it on the air, and I'm not going to, because I don't want people to take my advice right now because I'm getting smoked. So I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be responsible for people doing that. But I talked about it. I said, look, I thought the Dolphins were going to win over the weekend. They did not. I had the Giants beating the Eagles on Thursday night. That happened. And I had the Falcons winning last night. Because what we are seeing is it's an NFL that doesn't right now have a truly dominant team, and some of these teams are being bet on reputation and not what we're actually watching. We saw with the Bills what happened to them when they lost to the Patriots. We've seen the Falcons getting better week after week. The defense is playing much better. The Bills are terrible against the run, and the Falcons want to run it right down your throat, and they play good enough defense, and they pressure the quarterback. They get after the quarterback. And if they're doing that, is Josh Allen going to be able to find playmakers that are missing from the Bills? And not playmakers that are missing and are going to return. They just simply don't have them this year, which we'll talk about how that has impacted the analysis of a Josh Allen compared to the analysis of Patrick Mahomes. We'll get into some of those things here in just a little bit. But watching the Eagles struggle and the Giants getting ready for that huge game on Thursday night. And the reason I thought the Giants were going to win on Thursday night is maybe I was my analysis was colored a little bit by what took place 3 days before that with the Chiefs losing to the Jags. With everything that was put into that game for Jacksonville and Duval getting ready to play the defending AFC champions and an opportunity to show that, you know what, this is different. With Liam Cohen, this is different. And the New York Giants win at home with Jackson Dart, go on the road turn the ball over 3 consecutive possessions, lose to a Saints team they shouldn't lose to, and then return home on a short week with a chance to show against the NFC champions, no, we're different. We're different. And maybe they went into the Saints game feeling a little overconfident of how they're playing and, hey, we're going to come out here and beat this team. We're better than this team. And the Giants got a dose of reality that you're not good enough to do that. So then they return, and they might have been facing off against an Eagles team that was going, all right, let's get right here. All right, let's just take care of business. Get here, get our work done, and let's go home. And they walked into a place that was electric, that the Giants were ready to punch them in the mouth, and the Eagles were not ready with their guard up. They didn't have their hands up, and they got, hit with a couple of haymakers early on. Whereas, there's jab, jab, jab. Like the Chiefs against the Lions were just working the body constantly on Sunday night, just working the body. Like my son asked me last night, he goes, what was the best play for the Chiefs in the game last night? And I thought about it. I'm like, I said, what's interesting is there isn't like one play that sticks out that it's like, man, that big play. So many games you can look at and go, well, it was that huge play that helped them win that game. And I'm thinking Sunday night, I'm like, I guess the biggest play is the 4th down and 3 on the opening drive for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
touchdown to Xavier
Worthy. That's probably the one.
But it's not like a 45-yard catch and run, like, oh, that was so amazing. It wasn't a hook shot flip from Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't a left-handed throw. It wasn't like some catch and run or anything like that, something crazy.
Getting out of the sack against Aiden Hutchinson and then fighting Hollywood.
Again, opening drive. Isn't that crazy?
I guess you're
drive.
Right. Yeah.
But it just felt like, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, the Chiefs were just body blow against the Lions. And so I watched the Giants and Eagles. And then going into last night, like we talked a little bit about it just off the air, and I'm like, the Bills are walking into Atlanta where they feel like they're playing much better football right now. Injuries are part of this, and the Buffalo Bills being injured right now, and then before the game losing one of their best defensive tackles and leaving essentially Ed Oliver as the only guy that's on the roster that's good enough at the beginning of the season, and he was returning to action last night. I'm like, I feel like this is a big night for Bijan Robinson. And I was right. I just included Bijan. I just included other people that did not have good nights in parlays. It was my fault. What I should have done last night.
You got greedy.
No, I should have laddered Bijan. I should have just went 90, 100, 110, 120, and just did that. Instead of playing a parlay, I should have just said, you know what? I believe Bijan's going to have a big night.
We did 110 over on this side of things, and that was okay.
That's nice. That's nice. Yes. He had a huge night. And so last night to me, like some people coming away from that game going, oh, my God, what happened? Zero part of last night's game was a surprise to me because of the Bills' defense, and there are cracks in the foundation or kinks in the armor for what's going on for the Buffalo Bills. It's a team that has 4 wins this year against teams that are combined 3-21.
I will say I was surprised.
But the Chiefs are also, by the way, real quick, just for to be totally fair, the Chiefs' wins are against teams with bad records too, and their losses are against teams with good records. So it's only the Detroit Lions change things because their wins were the New York Giants and the
Ravens.
The Ravens got the win against the Lions, which certainly makes a difference there. But yes, the losses for the Buffalo Bills are 4-2 New England and 3-2 Atlanta.
I guess for me, I still think Buffalo's a great team. I still think they're a really solid team. I still think they're in the same category as the Chiefs at the top of the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a bad game. I think the most surprising thing is the Bills' offense being as stagnant as it was for large chunks of the game. I think I left that game thinking, and I thought the Falcons were a fine team. I do a thing. I'm a Falcons fan I talk with all the time, and we have a couple bets out, just long season bets. And
what did he think of the game going into last night?
I haven't talked to him this morning, but he said before the season that it's easy loss. He goes, easy loss, no chance. But Michael Penix has really impressed me. He's young, so he's going to have games where he's going to have some growing pains. But when you have Bijan Robinson to lean on, when you have Tyler Algier in the red zone, when you have Drake London, who's, again, really starting to go off. I mean, you look at what they did. Drake London had 10 receptions. Bijan had 6. He completed 20 passes.
Yeah.
16 went to their plate. All Michael Penix did was, I'm going to get my ball, get the ball in my playmaker's hands.
Yeah.
And he did it. And it worked.
Yeah.
So if I'm Buffalo, I'm sitting here going, you knew what Atlanta was going to do, and you still couldn't stop them. It wasn't like Darnell Mooney had a huge catch, and you're like,
right.
Okay, someone else got involved here. Nice. No, you knew they were going to Drake London. You could not stop them. You knew they were going to run with Bijan Robinson. You could not stop them. That, to me, would be more concerning than anything else, because what does Spags do? He takes away your best thing and makes you beat him. He would have said, you know what? Casey Washington, you beat us now.
Well, and also what was interesting last night is Joe Brady, when the Bills were down, 21, 21-14, I should say. When they were trailing in the game at that point in the second half, they had, 3 straight possessions where James Cook touched the ball once? Josh Allen is awesome, and Josh Allen is the straw that stirs the drink for the Buffalo Bills. But James Cook feels a lot like the gasoline that also helps that overall engine of Josh Allen and that offense run. Because when James Cook is running well and on his game and in his bag and he's cooking, that offense is really, really good, as it was last night against the Falcons at times. But then if you have to drop back and say, who's your go-to, Dalton Kincaid not there, so it's Khalil Shakir, it's Josh Palmer.
Who went out for a while in that game as well.
It's Keon Coleman.
Tyrell Shavers.
Yeah, Shavers. I found out there's a player named Shavers on the Bills last night by watching that game. I mean, it's essentially Josh Allen and James Cook. That's the offense. And so there is not a part. The Bills may win in Week 9 in Buffalo against the Chiefs. They may win that game. But I see how the Chiefs are playing right now, and I don't care about the record. I don't care that the Chiefs are 3-3. I talked about this after the Jags game. Don't care about, them being 500 at this point, what the record is. I care about how they're playing, what they look like, and this offense being what it hasn't been for a couple of years, and the defense showing up and holding the Lions to 17 points, even after that first drive was pretty rough. Same thing with the Ravens game. That first drive was pretty rough, and then the defense responded, adjusted, and then did their thing. And against Josh Allen and the Bills, you're essentially, to me, it's going to be stop James Cook, and if Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir beat you, then hey, they beat you. But I don't want James Cook or Josh Allen's legs to beat me in that game in Week 9. And offensively, like I'm looking at the Bills' defense, I'm not sure they have the horses to slow down what the Chiefs can do offensively right now. And we'll see. It's a couple of more games for them to play. They got the Raiders this week, and then they got the Commanders before they go to Buffalo. But if I'm looking at the AFC as the best teams that are there, and who's the team that would be favored to win the AFC, and I know the percentage, we talked about that yesterday at ESPN and FPI, that the Chiefs have the highest percentage of winning the Super Bowl right now at 11%. But I don't know what to think of the Colts. We're this far into the season. We should be giving them more respect for being 5-1.
I'll say this, man. They have the highest point differential in the NFL by a wide margin. It's not close. They're the highest in the AFC by an even more drastic margin.
Hell, I mean, that game, in the second half of the season might be for home field advantage with the Colts. Who knows?
I've always thought the Colts were a well-run team.
Yeah.
And we saw what they've done with, Carson Wentz and, was it Gardner Minshew that one year? They went 500 with just guys. I think Daniel Jones might just be a guy, but they've always had a good building block because they build in the trenches and they do things the right way. And, dude, they've beaten the Broncos. I guess you look at their wins, they're not great. Cardinals, Raiders, Titans, Broncos, Dolphins. But that was the Dolphins team with a fully healthy Dolphins team.
But also, that's why they're going to be there to me in the end is because they're playing that schedule. I mean, that's part of it. They're playing that schedule. They're 5-1. They're going to keep playing that schedule. So if they're going to keep playing that schedule and keep winning games, then there's going to be.
It gets tougher. It does get tougher. I mean, not drastic, but they have at the Chargers, at the Steelers.
It's at this weekend, right?
Yes.
They're at the Chargers on Sunday.
Yeah. So these are the tough ones left: at Chargers, at Steelers, Falcons, at Chiefs. If you want to throw Texans, at the Jags, at the Seahawks, 49ers. Jags again, Texans.
Yeah, that Texans, Jags, Seahawks stretch is interesting because those are divisional games.
Yeah.
And then go into Seattle that's a damn fine team and a good defensive team. And, yeah, it's an interesting stretch there for the Colts, that second half of the season. So they will certainly have to prove it. But, we heard Sunday night with Chris Collinsworth, along with Monday night with Troy Aikman, say essentially the same thing. And this is what you and I have been talking about since Xavier Worthy returned. That they said something along the lines, each of them said the Chiefs feel like this team is better at 2-2. This team is better at 2-3 than they did last year when they were 4-0 or 5-0. On Monday night, it was they feel better with this team being 2-2 than they did last year with it being 4-0. And then on Sunday night, they feel better with this team being 2-3 than they did last year at 5-0. And we've discussed that. We've talked about that. That I said the same thing. Like, I feel better about this team with the record at 3-3 than I did last year when they were 6-0. They were finding ways to win, but this time last year, the national narrative wasn't all that far different from the narrative here, except for people saying the luck and the refs. What we were talking about simply was the close games can't continue. Either you win by a wider margin or you start losing. They didn't. The national narrative was they're winning by luck. That was it. But in terms of they're winning these games that are close and typically you don't do that every single week, was echoed here in Kansas City.
Sure.
We were just looking at it from a standpoint of, is there something different about this team as to why they're winning these games? That was sort of the conversation, is why are they winning these games? It's not because of, the refs and everybody's out. Like, this absurdity that Sunday night was all about the officials, that the Lions got screwed by the refs in the game in which they lost by 13.
13.
And somehow the NFL, it's rigged for the Chiefs, yet the Chiefs had 13 penalties on Monday night. Why wasn't it rigged then? Like, people are so stupid. Like, they are really dumb. You are really dumb. You are so dumb, for real. You think that the NFL is out to help the Chiefs because they penalized them one time in a game that then that penalty was not accepted, so it came down to them being penalized 0 times, and the NFL's out to help them when literally less than a week before that they lost to a team on the road in which they were penalized 13 times. Like, how dumb can you be? Like, it is so absurd, and so it is a loser's cramp. It's a loser's excuse. It's sour grapes. It's, you lost the game, and it's also an easy way to excuse your dumb analysis of the dynasty is over. The dynasty's over. The Lions are going to win.
What I love is when you now start seeing Chargers accounts, big Chargers fans and fan accounts, take up the Chiefs side because they're tired.
There's one particular fan account that I follow him. He's legit.
It was, this phenomenon of pretending that the NFL is part of one big conspiracy, aiding a team in bleeping Missouri is the most bleep I've maybe ever seen on this app. Like, I can't even explain how unbelievably bleeping annoying it is to see this bleep all over my timeline every week. Please shut the bleep up with this bleep already. The refs suck across the league. They always have. They always will.
And that guy for like the last couple of years has been has had that same sort of sentiment as a Chargers fan. Is like, this is so dumb. Like, can we take a step back and actually look at it, and not with the colored glasses of the teams that we root for or analyze or we're close to or whatever it might be, and actually just look at this realistically? Like, why would it be that? And it's like, well, Taylor Swift. They won 2 Super Bowls before Taylor Swift got
New York, L.A.,
yes. And then
Chicago.
And then this dumbass study that was done by some financial guy that is trying to be a grifter that out of UTEP that says that the Chiefs from 2015 to 2023 have been aided by the officials. 2015 to 23, hold on. And it was with the rise of their dynasty. You're telling me that 2015, 16, and 17 was part of the rise of their dynasty, you jackass?
I promise you there was no help for the Chiefs in 2015.
Or 16, or 17! Derek Damn Johnson! Forward progress! Are you bleeping kidding me?
The ref retired. I know he was going to do either way. It doesn't matter. He retired after the game.
Are you bleeping kidding me? You include, as soon as I saw that from 2015 to 23, like, absurd. And also, by the way, it was a difference of like 0.025. And also his conclusions were may, could be, possibly. Like if you actually read it. But you don't have to read it because people are just simply tweeting out the headline.
Of course, it's what he wants. That's how you make money.
Exactly.
He's just trying to make
That's
a quick
exactly
buck.
right. A study that was done at UTEP, what you pay to do?
31 other teams, everyone understands
it's just so
the
stupid.
refs suck.
It's just so
But
stupid.
When the refs suck for one team, conspiracy. But when they
right.
suck for every other team,
100%.
it's, well, they're bad at their jobs.
100%. But I feel better about this Chiefs team sitting at 3-3 than I did last year when they were 6-0. I think
Agreed.
the Chiefs are one of, if not the best teams in the AFC still. The way that I look at how they're playing now, getting Rashee Rice back, we see the difference with Xavier Worthy on the field. Patrick Mahomes' last 3 games with Xavier Worthy on the field has a 3-game stretch that he hasn't had since 2021. At the Chargers, versus the Steelers, at the Bengals. In 2021, the last time he had a 3-game stretch where he threw for at least 800 yards, had a quarterback rating of 110 or more combined, had 50 yards rushing, had at least 8 touchdowns, 1 or fewer interceptions. I didn't even include rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I didn't include the 2 rushing touchdowns he had the last 3 weeks because he didn't have any rushing touchdowns in that 3-game stretch. Just by passing the ball and running sporadically for 3 weeks. He's got 100 yards rushing in these 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I put it to 50. All right? Because if you throw in 100 yards and the 2 touchdowns, it's a 3-game stretch he's never had.
Yeah.
So just by looking at what he's done passing and periodically running the football, it's the best 3-game stretch he's had since 2021 at the end of the season. That's what we're watching with Xavier Worthy on the field. Now they get Rashee Rice back, and the offensive line is good. Everything obviously is attrition and depending on health because other teams have been beaten up early in the season and the Chiefs have been pretty damn healthy. But this is what we're watching offensively. This is why I feel better about it because you also still have Spags on the other side. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about the curve that the local team / players get graded on a little bit. And then what we saw last night with Bijan, I start to wonder how much and how quickly we adjust our commentary, thought process, analysis, breakdown of the impacts or the impact that running backs have on teams and where they're drafted. Because I went and looked back at the drafts over the last 10 years and what we've seen from that specific position. Also want to get into the Tennessee Titans firing Bill Callahan. Borgonzi looked miserable at the podium. Looked like he was sitting there going, what the hell did I do? What in the hell did I agree to? I could be in Kansas City with the same lack of power that I have here in Tennessee, only I'm dealing with this train wreck. And oh, hey, Matt Nagy is on the short list. Yeah, sure. Hey, Matt, you want to go join that sinking ship? Ugh, we'll talk about that. And Matt Rule said publicly what we have talked about is going to be the new age of coaching searches. We'll get into that today as well. More Zone coming up next. All right, folks, if you're out there and wondering about the NFL and DraftKings and you haven't signed up yet, well, they've got a great offer for you. And NFL fans, I'm not sure what your favorite touchdown is, but for me, it's always the next one. With DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown can bring you closer to catching in. And cashing in, too. You can catch in the end zone. That makes it a touchdown. Or cash in if it is a touchdown, and you've got them for the anytime touchdown props. From first... All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, this Tuesday edition of the show. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we'll talk with Daniel Holmes, RGR Football Bleacher Report, get his thoughts on this Chiefs team, this team moving forward, what they'll look like with Rashee Rice. We will find out on Sunday at noon. We'll play some Fact or Fiction later on in the show as well. Tonight, 7 o'clock, NLCS Game 2, Dodgers at Brewers. The Chiefs line has moved a point back towards the Raiders, so opened up at 10, went to 12.5, now down to 11.5, while the Missouri Tigers have gone from a 1.5 dogs to a 1.5 favorites there at Auburn. They're now favored at Auburn by a 1.5. 913-912-4810. I want to talk about the curve that we're seeing a couple of guys being graded on. And we know it here, but I just think it's interesting watching it closely because the new betting favorite for MVP is now Patrick Mahomes at plus 185. Josh Allen is second at plus 300. Baker Mayfield is plus 350. So Patrick Mahomes has gone from, after week 2, like the sixth betting favorite, seventh betting favorite, to slowly moving up and is now the betting favorite in Vegas to win the MVP this year at plus 185. I was wrong when I said before week 1 you need to get it at plus 700 to plus 800 because that's the best odds you're going to get because as soon as he starts playing, it's going to go down and down and down and down. It went the other way the first couple of weeks, and now it has been, now plus 185. The only way you're going to get better odds is if there's no chance he's winning the MVP. Because if he stays at this level or continues along this way, his odds are going to either remain the same or get better. And if they don't, that means he's really struggling and probably falling out of the MVP race anyway. So now he is the number one in MVP.
I'm surprised by that.
He's number one in total offense this year of quarterbacks. He's number one in total touchdowns this year for quarterbacks. He's got the third fewest interceptions with qualified quarterbacks. He's number 3 in QBR out of all quarterbacks. And again, the last 3 games that he's catapulted from a guy who was, plus 1,000 to win the MVP. And it also helps that you're seeing a couple of guys that were up there, like Lamar or Josh Allen, slide back. I think Baker deserves more love.
Well, that's the one that I think is the most surprising. Baker Mayfield's been unreal this year with, and if you want to talk about wide receivers, I know you'll say Evans or Godwin or Ibuka. All 3 have been injured. Mike Evans is not playing. Chris Godwin has played 1 game.
Yeah.
And Ibuka's now injured. And so Baker Mayfield has more pass yards. He has more passing touchdowns, 1 less interception. I mean, this is not me trying to.
No, I think it's legit. That's the one that I think is surprising that Baker is. That Mahomes is, it seems like that much. Plus 185 to
the
to
fact
plus
that Baker's not at least 2, I think there's some Baker disrespect going
I agree.
on. More Patrick, I think, should be probably second if I was, and I could see third.
I'd be fine if he was in the top 3 at some point, but no matter what the Mahomes, Allen, Baker, put him in a hat, draw a name, and
I think you could also make a case. I know it's hilarious to
Daniel
say.
Jones.
Hilarious to say Daniel Jones should at least be in the comp. I mean, 5-1. At some point,
Let's see where he is.
Winning does matter, and he's been really good down there. I know it doesn't have the same numbers quite that the other guys have, but I would at least throw Daniel Jones in the equation.
He's 12th.
That's
the 12th.
absurd.
He's the 12th betting favorite. It's Mahomes, Allen, Baker, and then a huge gap.
Yeah.
So it's Mahomes plus 185, Allen plus 300, Baker Mayfield plus 350. Matt Stafford plus 1,600.
I bet CMC is probably about 5th or 6th, isn't he?
Nope. Then Goff, then May, then Herbert, then Love, then Jaden Daniels, then Lamar Jackson, then Dak Prescott, then Daniel Jones.
How was Lamar even in this conversation?
Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Amon-Ra, the first non-quarterback.
I think Drake May deserves a lot of consideration as well, right? Again, we're 6 games into the season. Drake May.
He's the 6th betting favorite right now. I mean,
he's been great. I mean, if you are in the or the AFC East, you're sitting here going, you went from Brady. Yeah, you had a couple years of like Jacoby Brissett and Mac Jones. Because Drake May looks the part of a stud.
I don't know where he went to college, though. I have no idea.
No, I have no idea.
Typically, like colleges promote their players, but I have no idea. I'm trying to find out. I've been looking, but I don't know where he went to school. But grading on a curve, and we know this, but I think it was evident the last couple of weeks in that 23 and 24 for Patrick Mahomes equaled he's regressed. Now, they went to the Super Bowl the last 2 years, obviously, winning one. but he's regressed. And his surrounding cast didn't matter. It didn't matter guys dropping the football. It didn't matter all the injuries at the offensive line or at the wide receiver last year, the ineffectiveness, the inability to block with the offensive line last year. None of that mattered. It was that Patrick Mahomes regressed. And it's interesting now this year, we see him doing this, and it's, well, yeah, look at his offensive line, though. Look at his weapons. I mean, are you kidding me? Look who he's throwing the ball to. Okay, so it does matter, it doesn't matter. And by grading on a curve, what I think is interesting is that last year, Josh Allen wins the MVP. And a big argument was he's elevating bad players. Like, he's elevating guys that just aren't that good on the team. Like, you're talking about, like, Shakir and Cooper. You know, like, you're looking at some of these receivers, and it's like it's James Cook is a nice running back, and the offensive line is pretty good. But, I mean, he's lifting up that offense that just is not surrounded with playmakers. Okay. This year, we see Josh Allen sliding back the last couple of weeks, and it's, yeah, but he's got bad players. So this isn't on Josh Allen. This is on the surrounding cast that's bad. Well, last year he got credit for doing that, and this year it's now an excuse. Mahomes doesn't get credit for doing it this year. Last year also didn't get credit for that by going to the Super Bowl back-to-back years. It's just the way that it's viewed and graded on a curve from that standpoint. Because if Mahomes got outplayed by Drake May and Michael Penix in back-to-back weeks, well, we'd never hear the end of it. It'd be examples as to how he has regressed. I mean, he got outplayed by Michael Penix and Drake May in the games. Regardless of the defenses they're going up against, that doesn't matter. That's never mattered. It's never mattered when we're talking about certain quarterbacks. The defenses they're going up against. The 13-second game, people still point out that, well, Josh Allen outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Really, because the Chiefs' defense was not all that good that year, and the Bills' defense was number one in every metric. And Mahomes did that against that Bills' defense. And Josh Allen did that against the Chiefs' defense in that 13-second game. So defenses are not considered. It doesn't matter from that standpoint. But it's the curve that's continually graded on, and we know it here. We understand it. And I guarantee, Patrick Mahomes understands it too. So at this point, you just go out and play football, and whatever happens, and you just go and win and just collect wins. And he's playing at a level now that he hasn't played in a couple of years in terms of consecutively with these games. And I think it's a part of getting back to having the offensive line, having the weapons, and they look like they're just having fun.
That's the one for me, and it's fun to watch.
Yes,
I mean,
we're having fun watching it.
It just feels so different. It just feels enjoyable. You're right. It's nice seeing Travis Kelce and Andy Reid actually enjoy themselves on the sidelines instead of getting into little arguments. But you can just see the lightness, and it's enjoyable. I like seeing Juwan Taylor look confident at right tackle. I like seeing, some of the other smaller aspects. I like seeing Drew Tranquil and Chris Jones not have to get in each other's grills at the end of games. I like seeing Shamari Connor play good football. Mm-hmm. Shamari Connor played a great game last week. I mean, it is a very enjoyable team, and it just makes a big difference when you have the confidence of the offense, and it looks like Patrick's has a confidence of the offensive line, and it just breeds upon each other. I mean, again, that's probably where it starts. Patrick talked about it. Was it during the Jacksonville game or before the Jacksonville game? And he was talking about, I need to trust, or no, it was before the Ravens game. I need to trust the offensive line more. He trusted them in the Ravens game.
Yeah.
And from that Ravens game on, what has happened? That trust has led to success offensively. They're 2-1. I know they lost to Jacksonville, all that, but still, it doesn't matter. The offense looks back, and it's because of the trust.
I wanted to bring this up. I tweeted this out right before the show because I was looking at some of the power rankings, just like perusing different power rankings. A lot of them have Chiefs up near the top. Mm-hmm. Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio in his power rankings. And I thought this was interesting in some implicit bias, or again, this being the Chiefs overall being graded on a curve. This is just, it's funny in terms of the view of how one side is viewed versus the other. Here we go. Last 2 weeks. So before the Jags game, the Chiefs were ranked 8th. The Jags were ranked 12th.
Sure.
The Jags beat the Chiefs at home. they beat a higher team, the Jags jumped 6 spots all the way to number 6 by virtue of beating the number 8 team. Well, the Chiefs lost to what Mike Florio thought was now the 6th best team on the road by 3 points. So the Chiefs dropped from 8th to 17th, just waiting for a reason to drop them, right? So now they're the 17th ranked team. Chiefs play at home against Mike Florio's number 1 ranked team, the Lions. Chiefs beat the Lions by 13 points at home. Remember, the Jags jumped 6 spots by beating a team that was 4 spots better than they were by 3 points. So that means the Chiefs beating the number 1 team in the power rankings jumped 4 spots from 17 to 13. While the Lions, losing on the road by 13 to what Florio thought was the 17th best team, dropped 2 spots to number 3.
I think of it this way.
The Jags got a huge but here's the last point on this, Sterling, and I'll let you weigh in there. But the Jags get a huge bump by beating the Chiefs, showing that he values that win by the Jags. And the Lions only dropped 2 spots by losing on the road to said Chiefs by 13, again, showing the value of who they played, yet the Chiefs are roughly the same team. It's just graded on a curve.
I guess, yes, I agree, but I don't get upset, especially with Florio, and the reason is I'm not going to lose sleep or anger or all of that over someone whose thoughts on said team I don't care about nor respect.
For sure, yes. I'm just pointing out the curve and
I
some of
agree.
the implicit
but
bias, and it doesn't matter.
For me, there's certain people I'm like, okay, I disagree.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get into it with you. Florio has shown his true colors enough times to where I think it's a bit. I don't know if he even believes it, and I'm not going to get riled up about a guy who, quite frankly, I don't respect his thoughts on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Maybe some other things I do. I'm not saying Florio's all bad. I'm not saying he's never once had a good thought or done something solid. But when it comes to Kansas City, I don't respect his view on them, and so I'm not going to get worked up by it because...
And I pointed out in the tweet, I said, this does not matter at all. The rankings, power rankings, it does not matter. I just think it's interesting from like seeing some implicit bias and the way that some people view the Chiefs, where there is not credit given to them specifically. And some of it, again, is because what the offseason conversation was. Jason McIntyre has said all offseason the Chiefs dynasty is done, they're toast, they're not that good. He was taking victory laps in the first 2 weeks. And now he's finding any reason to excuse them winning.
Before every show, he has to get a red nose, those floppy shoes, clown paint.
Right,
it's
sure.
what he does. It's his outfit, actually.
Yeah. Even after the game, he said, of course, Brian Branch doing that, we have no idea what Juju and Patrick Mahomes said to him. Of course the Chiefs are winning, and now they want to talk trash after the game. Like, dude, like he has spent, that's the thing. Craig Carton. These are just, it's guys with, as you said, it's their sort of shtick.
Yeah,
it's their thing. And just sort of pointing out, because I think while we cover the Chiefs and we cover the Royals, we cover the local teams, I think we also cover the media too, as to this person saying this about the Chiefs, what would that mean? This person saying, you know what, I don't believe in the Chiefs at all. If it's Louis Riddick, I'm going to listen a little bit like, okay, why is he saying he doesn't really believe in the Chiefs?
Yeah, or Field Yates or Cynthia Freeland.
Dan Orlovsky, Field Yates, those guys, Harry Douglas, guys that have been, I think, fair, that has criticized when it was warranted, praised when it was warranted, but hasn't had a shtick for 31 fan bases, to rile up 31 fan bases to take shots at one. Because at that point, then I just simply ignore what you're saying. And I know that it's for interaction on the Twitterverse or 31 fan bases going, yeah, Jason, you tell him. McIntyre, not me.
Yeah, it's for McIntyre to make the $9 on Twitter. He needed the engagement,
Well, you
apparently.
get it, man. I mean, that $9, that's half of an extra value meal now.
I was going to say Florio and what's the guy's name from Fox?
Oh, Jason McIntyre.
Those guys are social media analysts. Like, they get all of their poll from, the Twitter people. And, it kind of shows you, like, if this was 20 years ago, I don't think that they could exist, but it's not.
People are so gullible, too, by the way, as we take a break. Like, did you see the stat going around that it's the first time a team has not been called for a penalty since 1970?
Yeah, people.
So gullible. It was 2023, by the way. It didn't happen last year, but it did happen in 2023. But all you have to do is see that and then just immediately return. See, it's rigged. First time since 1970 that a team hasn't been called for a penalty. or the first time in, a full season that
a year and a half.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's rare, but also it was not there was a penalty. It was only one. There were penalty-worthy plays, but again, the Lions only had 4 in that game too. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next. I wrapped up this hour. We'll talk with Daniel Harms, RJR Football, Bleacher Report, get his thoughts on this Chiefs team, what Rashee Rice can do for this offense. I mean, it's just like, could be an embarrassment of riches starting on Sunday. We'll see how much he's involved in the game plan. But the Chiefs, heavy favorites over the Raiders. What they're doing defensively, complimentary football, the rest of the AFC, Patrick Mahomes, this offensive line. A lot of stuff to get into with Daniel Harms as we'll talk some football with him. We got Fact or Fiction coming up in the 1 o'clock hour later on today. We'll get into some college football, too, that, I said it earlier in the show, and we'll get into it, that Matt Rule is sort of letting teams know how you recruit coaches. All right, a Tuesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. Right now, let's talk some NFL football, some Chiefs football with Daniel Harms, RGR Football, Bleacher Report, joining us here in The Zone. Daniel, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great today. How are you guys doing?
We are doing just fine, man, doing just fine. Let's talk and start off with some Chiefs football with you. You know, they dropped that game last Monday to the Jags. They bounce back, and they knock off the Lions. What are you seeing from this Chiefs team? And is Monday night, that loss, the way they played, how sloppy they were, the outlier to you? Or the way they played against the Lions on Sunday night, the outlier? Or are neither of those outliers, and it's just, you know, what we see from Chiefs teams from time to time? What's your take on the last two games we've watched?
You know, it's funny. You do see a couple of games a year where they just have a ton of penalties and they just can't get out of their own way. But if you look at the last three games in total, not just the last two, offensively speaking, they're averaging like 32 points a game. And execution-wise, we are seeing far more ability to not just stretch the field, but the impact that Xavier Worthy is having with this team right now is huge. And he's not even fully healthy. You can see that he's not able to outrun players that he probably should be able to outrun from time to time. But I think that the outlier for me, just watching, is that execution with the penalties and special teams on Monday Night Football against the Jags. And then, you know, you watch the Jags lose to the Seahawks, and they get, like, sacked 7 times by the Seahawks. And you're like, you know, it would be cool if the Chiefs defense could do that every now and then, just pile up sacks against technically a bad offensive line. But watching the game on Sunday night, this was exactly where you would want the Chiefs to be when they didn't have Rashee Rice. Now he comes back into the fold, and specifically the way that they were able to stretch the Lions vertically and horizontally on plays. You're just going to run Tyquan Thornton down the field, and then you're going to run crossers over the middle, and you get so much space. That's why you saw Hollywood Brown open multiple times on crossers. The one for the touchdown, there was nobody near him because they have Travis Kelce running that deeper over route, and they just are able to chip one of his players. And you have to go cross so much traffic to keep up with Hollywood Brown, who's just a shallow cross, and he sits in the end zone. So what they're able to do execution-wise right now with the offense, the offensive line, and I think for me, it's the trust factor. Patrick Mahomes, the big shift from 2022 when they traded away Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce was the only guy that he could trust. They bring in different offensive line. They've had different tackles pretty much every single year since then. And you have Hollywood, you have Orlando Brown a couple of years there, but they've had so much overhaul and upheaval with the offensive line that he's never really gotten comfortable. They were able to take Jalen Moore and put him at left tackle, and hopefully everything's going well with Josh Simmons and what he's dealing with. But he was still able to sit in the pocket and trust what was happening in front of him. That is the biggest difference to me.
And you know what we've seen too is the eyes that we've watched Travis Kelce with as we're, you know, watching these games and seeing maybe what was different from a year ago is, you know, that the numbers are backing that up. From Jesse Newell, Travis Kelce last year forced 5 missed tackles all of last year. Against the Lions, he forced 4. I mean, if that's not letting us know that, you know, he looks lighter, he looks quicker. There was that move, Daniel, at the beginning of the game when he sort of caught it, faked left, and then went right and turned the corner. I don't remember seeing that last year from him, or I don't remember seeing that work last year from him where it's working this year.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that he tried it last year still, but he couldn't get out of the break again. But we're seeing, and I'm not going to comment on how mentally he is, the headspace he's in this year compared to last year. They did a lot of stuff in the offseason. It didn't necessarily feel on the field at times like there was a ton of effort in the blocking. There was some of that earlier this year too. However, we're seeing Travis Kelce having fun. I think that's having a lot of impact on his ability. One, he's getting the ball. He's been impactful with it. But like you said, I think the ankle flexion, he's gotten a little bit lighter, which has helped him pivot and create those missed tackles and really those wide angles that he plays with. He's not like the quick twitch guys who can stop and start. He creates angles, and that ankle flexion allows him to create linear and kind of like curvilinear explosive movements that he's able to create that acceleration through angles, and that's what he's able to do right now. So when you can finally get Travis Kelce playing like that, and it shows on the field that he looks healthier, looks better than he has in a couple of years, in my opinion. He looks faster this year as well. It creates even more of a problem because, like we said, now Rashee Rice is back, and defenses are going to be like scratching their head. Well, who do we pay attention to? Because if we don't pay attention too much to Travis Kelce, he's going to be wide open. If we pay too much attention to him, Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are going to be open. If we pay too much attention to them, Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster can get us, or Tyquan Thornton. So, there is a lot of fun in the offense right now, and I think it's starting to seep into every player that's out there.
Yeah, and I like that, Daniel, you get into the biomechanics of the human body, and that draft analyst comes through from Daniel Harms.
I don't want to get too into the weeds with it. I pride myself on being able to explain things, but if you guys have questions about like curvilinear acceleration, like that stuff it's all about ankle flexion and how you can accelerate up an arc like that.
I love it. Daniel Harms is our guest, RGR Football Bleacher Report. What is it that you're seeing then from this team? You've talked about a number of different things for this offense, but I think back to last year, and one of the things we were discussing is that, why don't they have an answer for those intermediate plays? Like Travis Kelce, the yards per attempt are all short. They're making sure that Worthy doesn't beat him over the top. Hollywood's injured. Rice is out for the season. Patrick Mahomes' yards per attempt is as low as we've seen. Air yards per attempt is low. Why this year? What have you seen, and what can you point to as to why it seems like the middle of the field, there's so much more space, and including Hollywood Brown catching the ball, laying there, I think taking a nap for a little bit before getting up and then eventually getting tackled because he was that wide open. What is it this year as to you're seeing as to why it feels like there's just so much more room to work and they're taking advantage of it?
Yeah, I feel like this is a twofold for me with, one, the offensive line. The interior, this is back-to-back games now where Kingsley Suamataia has not a lot of pressure. And if you honestly, moving Patrick Mahomes off of his spot, left or right, he can make plays outside of structure. But when he can sit in the pocket and diagnose what's happening, where do you think he's going to be able to go? He's going to go over the middle of the field because he's not getting pressure right in his face. So the trust in the offensive line has given him the ability to go through his reads or make his progressions. I go back to the throw to Xavier Worthy where he pivots out of the tackle and goes back to the left side where he's looking right first. And then he comes back and throws it because he knows Xavier's going to be there. He doesn't have to worry about the pressure being in his face because this is all based on timing and they practice it. So he's looking right first through the two routes there, and then he knows they're not open. He comes back to the left and immediately throws it to Xavier, who's able to pivot out and create an explosive play. That's based on trust of the offensive line. The second thing, they have more team speed this year. Tyquan Thornton has been a revelation of taking tops off of defenses, but in terms of finding spots post route. And if you guys don't understand what I'm going for here is go back to the game against the Jaguars where you have that initial route, right? You're running maybe an in route or you're running a curl, a 7-yard curl. So you stop there and then you're not open. Patrick doesn't see you. So you find space. He's found space post route so well in that game, and it's speed-based post route too. So he's able to take advantage of that. But when you have more team speed, Hollywood Brown looks back to, I would say, close to fully healthy. And not only can you stretch defenses vertically, they have to be aware of that. You saw some cover 4 from the Lions where tops were taken off by Tyquan Thornton, and underneath with the team speed they have to go across the field against linebackers, against safeties. It creates voids in the defense all the time. You have guys running from left to right, and then everyone else running from right to left, and they can just stop in the spots where there's naturally going to be creation based off of the team speed the Chiefs have. This is the most functional team speed the Chiefs have had in years, and that it's showing on the field.
I like that. I'm writing it down. Most functional team speed that they've had in years. I like that. No, it's a great way because having team speed doesn't necessarily equate to production and how you use it. And by the way, Tyquan Thornton, you mentioned a total revelation. I'm glad that the Patriots did not hire Vrabel and Josh McDaniels last year, because I'm not sure if Josh McDaniels had Tyquan Thornton in the room, he would not figure out how to use him the way that Alex Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo were like, this guy's just toast. He's not good. We're just going to let him go and release him. And now the Chiefs have found a way to use him because they understand what he can do on an offense. And I think Josh McDaniels would be using Tyquan Thornton for the Patriots this year, whereas their loss is the Chiefs' gain.
Absolutely, and it all based on team dynamic, right? I go back to the quote that Tyquan Thornton had where he's talking about preparation and practice. When he was with the Patriots, before they hired Mike Vrabel, a professional, it was just kind of not well run. And you go into practice and you're like, there's not really a level of maintaining, trying to get better happening. And then he comes to Kansas City where every little detail, he talked about how details are so focused on. It doesn't always translate to the games as we've seen at times, but they do practice it. They want to get every little thing right. And as much as I think you can count on talent to naturally develop, I also think when you see how things are poorly done in one place, you get a fresh start somewhere else, your mindset also changes. You want to improve. You want to keep getting better. You want to have this team that focuses so much on the little things. You want to see them. You want them to see you do the same thing. Because if you're in an environment that's not everyone's really focusing on the little details, you're kind of going through the motions. I'm not trying to say that the guys that have the work ethic that are talented players don't want to naturally get better, but it's hard. It's so difficult to want to get better and to not get frustrated with that environment. So he was always kind of a talented, deep ball, cracking kind of player at Baylor when he came out. And the Patriots didn't really know what they were doing in this whole changing of the guard dynamic from Belichick to everything that's happened since then. So I'm with you. It's nice to see what's happening right now where he's also more bought into what's happening with the team than he was previously.
Yeah, looking back, he probably wasn't worth a second rounder, but he's also not worth cutting and just moving on from him. And it's the difference in coaching. Like, it looks like clearly the Chiefs are looking at his skill set and finding a way to get the best out of him, where maybe in New England it was, hey, man, we need you to get the best out of yourself so that we can use you. Well, okay, so how's that going to be? Well, you got to figure it out. What do you do well? Because I think when Tyquan Thornton said, I've had practices, I've had training camps where I've, done different things, but it hasn't translated to a game, and I got to make sure that I do that. Well, it's translating to a game for the Chiefs this year, and that could be game plan, scheme, confidence, finding what he does well, taking advantage of it. All those things could be a part of it. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. All right, Rashee Rice returns on Sunday against the Raiders. How do you think he gets integrated into the offense? Is it just boom, quickly, he's Rashee Rice the way that it was the first 3 weeks last year? Is it going to take some time, do you think, getting up to game speed for him, even though practicing? But we know there's a difference. This is now 6 games in for this Chiefs offense and playing at that speed. What do you think we'll see from Rashee Rice on Sunday, which is really, to me, 2 weeks leading into him being full speed by Buffalo?
Yeah, I think that they want to showcase to the NFL who he is.
Yeah.
I personally believe. I don't know if he's going to play 100% of the snaps, obviously, because he's not in game shape yet. However, we're going to talk about volume. He's going to get the ball a lot, in my opinion. And it's not just because he's the best. He's going to be the best guy out there because they missed him so much. We're seeing what the offense can do right now without him. They're putting up points. This is not about showing that they're, a more complete, better offense with Rashee Rice than they have been because they've been so bad offensively. This is about showcasing, say, hey, you guys saw what the offense looked like when Xavier Worthygate came back. Now we're going to add somebody else to it, and you have to pay attention to him too. Everybody forgot what Rashee Rice did in the first 5 weeks of the season last year. Everyone across the NFL kind of forgot. Maybe not coaches, because they're going to see all that stuff on tape, but like everybody else just kind of like, Rashee Rice isn't all that great. However, we know that at least ever since I saw last year, he is the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. It's not a tight end. It's Rashee Rice.
Yep.
He is the over the middle of the field, make a guy miss, be physical and explosive in that first movement after the catch to create those explosive plays. And then you see against the Bengals last year, he catches that deep ball down the left sideline. Great tracking, just Mahomes drops it in the bucket, he takes it for a touchdown. There's a lot of different things they can do with him. And it's just, we are going to feed him. We're going to show you that I thought in the preseason he looked back. I thought he looked all the way back physically.
Yep.
And game shape will be different. But from the injury, I thought he was all the way back. So I fully expect the Chiefs to, maybe not the very first target, but it also wouldn't shock me at all. Patrick comes out and says, I want to throw the ball to Rashee Rice and make the Raiders respect that he's on the field every single time.
Oh, I said yesterday, Daniel, first play of the game, RPO quick slant to Rashee Rice. It's
line up a linebacker. Find it.
Yep, I am convinced that that's going to be the first play. If I'm the Raiders, I'm doubling Rashee Rice at the line of scrimmage and putting somebody over because I think Mahomes is going to go, I don't care. I'm throwing it to Rashee Rice. In fact, I'm going to bet on first play of the game being a pass for the Chiefs when it's always a run.
I like it.
Because I think it's going to be right immediately. RPO, throw it to Rice. He gets up, starts celebrating. The crowd's into it, and they're off and running. I'm convinced that's the case, which means, Daniel, that they will just hand it off to Pacheco right up the middle. That's absolutely what it means.
Funny how that works, right?
100%. It is, though, Daniel Holmes is our guest. We've been talking about it for a while. April 25th, 2024, Sunday, knock on wood. There we go. Sunday will be the first time in a regular season game that we've been talking about Rice, Hollywood, and Worthy since April 25th of 2024. And we're going to watch it on, October 19th of 2025, finally on Sunday. I mean, they drafted Xavier Worthy that night, having Rashee Rice and already signing Hollywood Brown. I did not think it would be this long for us to get a chance to see what it looks like. And it sounds like, Daniel, everybody around the building, and even Patrick Mahomes, when his answer was, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Let's just leave it at that. That they are ready to unleash what the offense can be, that they have been planning since last offseason what they would have on the field.
It's the NFL is such a weird place, man. I mean, not just based off of the game that we watched last night, but just how you plan for this to get everything on the field. The injuries, I mean, not just to the Chiefs, but I think right now, maybe I'm just in the moment, but it feels like injuries are worse now than I've ever seen them early in the season.
Feels like it, yeah.
It feels that way. Maybe it's just because I'm more aware of the injuries that are happening everywhere. I guess that's possible too. But preseason last year, like the very first catch in Hollywood Brown, that's it. He can't play. He can't play. Like, when you build up these moments so much because we see what they want to do. We see the execution. We see the plan, right? We see Xavier Worthy being that, not just a gadget player as a rookie, but take the top off. Hollywood Brown's kind of a possession player underneath at this point with speed still. And then you have Rashee Rice, who has turned into this giant power slot who can man up on the outside. He can still win down the field, and they use him in all these different ways. And it all fits together. And then he gets hurt. Hollywood Brown obviously got hurt last year, and Xavier is a rookie, and you're the number one receiver now. We have to change the way that the offense is supposed to look like, how it's supposed to run. Then they come into the season this year. Rashee Rice gets suspended. First play of the game, Xavier Worthy gets hurt in the season. It's just so frustrating, but we finally get to watch it.
Yes. Yeah, poor Raiders. But hopefully it ends up being poor Raiders in the game, and it's just a party on Sunday. Hopefully that's the case. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. I wanted to talk to you about the defense against the Ravens. That first drive, it was like, oh no. Let's see what the defense can do against this Ravens team. That looked pretty easy, and they responded, obviously, and played great football the rest of the way defensively. And on Sunday night, Daniel, it was, oh, my God, is this going to – are the Chiefs going to get 5 possessions in this game? I mean, a 10-minute, 15-play drive that it didn't really feel like the Chiefs were close to getting off the field, and then it results in the field goal. What happened after that? Is that complimentary football? Is it a play here or there? How the Chiefs look like that the first 10 minutes of the game and end up giving up a total of 17 points to the Lions?
So we all know that the first drives are scripted. I know it always doesn't look that well in Kansas City. Early in the season, the first script doesn't always go as planned. Specifically, the Detroit Lions might have the single best opening script in football in the past couple of years. I think that Morton's done a great job as their offensive coordinator, and he's kind of carried that mantle. It's making those adjustments in game. I think Ben Johnson was far better. He was also more seasoned, but we'll see how the Lions go there. But we always have to remember that first drive isn't always indicative of how the defense is going to play. They don't know what the Lions put in schematically for that opening drive, for those first 15, as they call them. So that's always something in the back of my mind, is that, yeah, it sucks to watch a 10-minute drive go all the way down the field, and it looks like that there's nothing you can do. All it takes is that shift. Illegal motion, and then everything kind of resets, right? That's kind of how it felt to me specifically for the Lions and for the Chiefs defense. And then, they go down 10-6. Chiefs always play better when they're down in a football game. Almost always. Like, it always feels that way. And then I think the spark plug was Leo Chenal.
God, I want to talk to you about him, and thank you for bringing him up.
Yeah, I mean, I spotlighted him. I've spotlighted him multiple times this year, and then I'm doing a film review for him on Wednesday on RGR. So he is one of the most, I think, emotionally and physically impactful players on the Chiefs defense, maybe even in the NFL. He never has mental downs. Like he doesn't get down on himself ever. You never see him hang his head. You never see him get down on anybody. All you see is this guy that goes out there, punishes anybody, and will continuously fight to the football. When you have someone that goes out there and plays that way, and he played, I believe, a shared high in snaps on Sunday night against the Lions. When you're able to make impacts that way, everyone wants to play better. Now, there's some injuries to the Chiefs, to the Lions as well. Taylor Decker didn't play left tackle. So you have some of those in there that, Dan Skipper coming in as, I believe, their third string tackle, didn't have his best night either. But spark plugs is really what it is. You got to make a play. If you don't make a play, everyone else kind of feeds off of it. I thought Chris Jones had maybe his best game of the season against the Lions. Didn't show up in the stat sheet, but everywhere, man. Double teams. He's in the backfield. He is eating double teams in the run game. By the way, his improvement in run defense this year has been instrumental in the Chiefs being one of the best run defenses in football. And watching that play out while the Chiefs are out there in base personnel with Leo Chenal, that's the kind of group you can get behind. So I think they were excellent against the run, and it fed into the pass, except when you're targeting Nick Bolton, which we will, we all know that doesn't go well for the Chiefs defense. So
no,
it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it doesn't. He's been really, really good at timing up the blitzes and some of those things this year.
Absolutely.
But the pass coverage hasn't been great. Although that coverage that he had against Jahmyr Gibbs when he forced Gibbs to cut it outside and Goff thought Gibbs was going to turn it up. There were two plays actually in the flat and. You know what? I'll give credit to, Brendan Daly, because there are times last year we were on Connor Embry and the wide receiver group and saying, is it the coaching? I certainly have been on, Andy Heck and the offensive line and the development. But if we're talking about, Nick Bolton from his second year on is when Brendan Daly took over in 22 as the linebackers coach, and the development of Leo Chenal with this particular team in his 4 years with Brendan Daly coaching him. That play in the flat, and you have it on your Twitter account and talked about it and pointed it out. I took a note of it immediately that it's a play action, and everything the Lions did showed that it was going to be a handoff. And Leo Chenal read handoff and got to the line of scrimmage and immediately sees Jared Goff pull it and turns and sprints and uses that crazy athleticism and the RAS score that he has to get out to Jahmyr Gibbs. You're in the flat with Jahmyr Gibbs. How many linebackers over-pursue or are so fast they're going out of control and Gibbs just puts his foot in the ground, lets the guy fly by, and then, cuts it upfield? Instead, Gibbs puts his foot in the ground. Chenal immediately reacts and slows down to drop his hips. Gibbs tries to get started again. Chenal, athletic enough to be with him, and pushes him out of bounds. That, against a different guy, could have been a huge gain, and I'm wondering how much Jahmyr Gibbs is like, what the bleep, dude? How was that guy? Like, that's an easy, stop-start for me against a linebacker that seems like he's out of control. And I think in these 4 years, what we've seen, Daniel, is Leo Chenal that had all the traits. You know, hey, you draft for traits and then you coach them up. He had all the traits, and I think we're seeing Leo Chanel over the last couple of years learn how to play fast with his athletic gifts, and we're seeing it this year by him being so damn good.
Absolutely. I will correct you a little bit. This was Amon-Ra St. Brown. I wish it was Jahmyr Gibbs.
You're right. That was Amon. My bad. The Gibbs was Nick Bolton. Gibbs was Nick Bolton.
Yeah, the Gibbs play with Nick Bolton. Again,
because it was a play action to Gibbs. Yeah, it was a play action to Gibbs or Montgomery, and it was
Montgomery,
and Amon-Ra slipped out. Yep.
Yeah, but again, like we're talking about, how often do linebackers lose wide receivers that scrape across the back of an offensive line? How often does that happen? And the most important thing, I mentioned this in my film breakdown because I've already recorded it. I was so excited to do this that I already got it done. Like his processing has become so quick, and it's not just like a play action play right here. Like you said, he gets down to the guard who's coming across on that action, and he just side swipes with his hands and immediately busts it to the other flat. That's a reactionary play, but it's based on his processing. He's already a great reactionary athlete. We've seen him do this in space against Lamar Jackson. Let's not forget, he spied Lamar Jackson at the end of the first game they played last season, and he had multiple impact plays there. He's done it against Josh Allen. So the ability to just stop on a dime at his size is insane. I can't fathom doing that. I can't fathom being able to move that way. You know, I'm 260 pounds. He's probably around the same size as I am. I can't imagine stopping like that and immediately decelerating. So what he's able to do, it's all based on the processing. He's getting downhill quickly. He's identifying run fits. He's getting in front of, not just in front of blocks, but he has the power to sink his hips and just push guards away from him. He is, I tweeted it out on Sunday night. He's one of the best linebackers in football, and he's the Chiefs' third linebacker. Like, it's frustrating in that world, but he has been such an impressive player this year. We've had postseason performances of him. We're like, yeah, he really shows out in the postseason. We're seeing that in the regular season this year.
And it's a contract year for him. I think he's becoming a priority for the Chiefs to re-sign and keep around, and maybe the tranquil money goes to Leo, and then hopefully Bassa develops and steps into that role, and it'll be that sort of transition there. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Daniel, you have an idea of what happens on Sunday and a score maybe in mind with this Chiefs they're 11.5-point favorites now. It actually dropped a point to 11. It was 12.5 yesterday, now 11.5. But do you have a score in mind this early in the week?
I actually don't have a fully fledged score prediction. I do think that they are going to cover the spread in this football game, though. The Raiders are an objectively bad football team. They just are. But I think Rashee Rice is going to score the first touchdown of the game for the Chiefs. I feel like it has to be.
He's the betting favorite for the first touchdown score of the game. It's Rashee Rice.
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's so amazing. He's the second highest betting favorite for the anytime touchdown after Ashton Genty. Then it's Rashee Rice. It's unbelievable.
Really, Ashton Genty is?
Yeah.
I would say Patrick Mahomes is more likely to score a rushing touchdown in this game.
Yeah, Ashton Genty is plus 120. Rashee Rice is plus 135 for an anytime touchdown. Rashee Rice is the second bet. And Rashee Rice is plus 750 for the first touchdown, right ahead of Kelsey at plus 800.
Okay.
So
I love it.
You're right, man. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all that Rashee Rice scores the first touchdown. Just a back shoulder throw. They get inside the 5, back shoulder Rashee Rice.
Yep.
And they celebrate, and everybody got to eat on Sunday. Daniel Harms, RGR Football Bleacher Report. Man, I could talk to you for another hour. I absolutely love our conversations, man. Thank you so much. I typically keep you way too long. You're very gracious with your time. Appreciate it, brother. Great stuff as always, and I look forward to our next conversation already.
Thank you so much. I love talking with you guys. I appreciate you having me every single time.
Absolutely. Daniel Harms, great stuff from him. Seriously, go to his Twitter account and check out the film breakdowns that he does. And, man, he's so spot on. And I can't wait. I can't wait to watch his breakdown on Leo Chanel because he's becoming a priority. Like, I think you start talking to him now about an extension at this point because, God. And like I said with Daniel there, shout out Brendan Daly.
Yeah.
I mean, Brendan Daly took over as linebackers coach Chanel's rookie year. And in these 4 years, Chanel's processing has been unbelievable. and he's learned how to use those crazy physical RAS score traits of strength and speed, and he's learned how to use that in a linebacker role, that he's not just Hulk smash, me run, hit hard. It's no process, stop, start, dip your hips, ready to make a tackle. Amon-Ra St. Brown in space.
Yeah.
You're running as fast as you can.
That was
he
insane,
stops,
by the way.
You stop with him and mirror him. Amon-Ra starts to get running again. You stay with him and just push him out of bounds for a small gain. When how many linebackers are that far away on the play action? Because, again, Daniel Holmes tweeted about it and shows the end zone angle. He's like 10 yards behind Amon-Ra when Amon-Ra escapes out from the line of scrimmage. When Goff turns and Chanel sees it and just immediate sprint as fast as he can to get out there and still have the athletic ability to dip his hips to stay with Amon-Ra when he starts to plant his foot.
I think he's the player that everybody wanted Willie Gay to be.
100%. Yeah. He's just so – I mean, again, I think you transition the money from Tranquil to Leo, and Bossa, you hope, develops into being those three linebackers, being Bolton, Chanel, and Bossa.
It is tough, though, with the way Drew Tranquil
Drew
played this year.
Tranquil's playing
He's
phenomenal football, man.
playing a very high-level linebacker.
He is,
This
dude.
linebacker room right now
Dude,
is
it's-
playing really well. By the way, though, really quick, on your Rasheed Rice first touchdown, it's too obvious. It's going to end up being like a slip screen to Noah Gray.
But see,
it's going to be.
But it's too obvious. But they have been talking about this for too long.
I know.
Again, I'm going to as soon as I'm allowed to in the game.
I'll allow you.
I got to be allowed to. Well, I'll bet it with you then.
No, I'll just being nice. I'm saying I'm
thank
allowing
you.
you. I thought
Appreciate
you were
it.
asking me for your.
First play, I'm putting money on first play being a pass play because again, I really do believe it's going to be an RPO throw to Rasheed Rice.
Andy loves doing that stuff.
Convinced that it's going to be right.
When
to Rasheed.
Josh Gordon.
But even if he calls an RPO, Mahomes is pulling it, and he's going to throw it to Rasheed Rice.
Yeah.
I am totally. He might even tell the offensive line, "Hey,
Just better. You got to stay in because I'm throwing this to Rasheed. Okay, don't get downfield. I mean, yeah, obviously.
all right, that was bad. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about.
We'll regroup. We'll work on that.
We'll talk about an impact player that could be developing, not named Leo Chanel. What Daniel Holmes said about the Chiefs' speed, I thought was as succinct and well put as somebody has explained it for what we're seeing this year. And then coming up at noon, I want to talk some college football, what's happening in Lincoln, and Matt Rule sort of changing the narrative of how you attract coaches to be the next head coach at your school. We'll talk about that at noon. We come back, we talk a little more Chiefs next. breaking down the Chiefs. Absolutely love talking with Daniel Holmes, some Chiefs football. I should point out, no Braden Gall today. He is off today because he figured he was going to take the day off in memorial and remembrance of Brian Callahan there in Nashville.
Yeah.
So he's such a Callahan fan. You know, Big Tom,
Big
Small
Tom,
Tom.
They make auto
huge.
parts.
I mean, for
the working class.
Well, that's Zelensky, though. So that's the thing is maybe Amy Adams Strunk is Zelensky. She makes car parts for the American working man because that's who I am and that's who I care about.
Yeah.
All right.
You want a guarantee?
I can take it. You know what? In a box and mark it guaranteed. I have extra time. All right, because all you're getting is a guaranteed piece of, bleep. But like. I
think we need more Tommy Boy quotes on this show.
100%, man. 100%.
Son of a.
I'm just a little guy. Look, Mommy.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Look, Mommy, the rhino's getting too close to the car. Oh, that's it. Boy, I'm going to wail on you.
What'd you do, Richard?
What'd you do? I wonder if she goes out with one of the Yankees.
Did you eat paint chips as a kid?
Yes. Why? Is it alfalfa? Or was it Spanky?
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug. All right, we can move on now.
Let's do it. So we all believe that Rashee Rice is going to have, and I was, wondering what Daniel Harms's assessment was going to be when I said, "What do you think we'll see from Rashee Rice? Is this going to be a slower workup because he hasn't played in over a year?" Because this is now week 7. He got injured week 4 last year. So he hasn't played in a football game, a regular season football game. He played in preseason, but we know that as the season goes on, the speed gets up. So it's now week 7 for these Chiefs players, for these defenders for the Raiders. It's week 1 for Rashee Rice. And so is this going to be slowly work him in? His playing time will increase week by week, or Rashee Rice, go. This is what you were going to be in week 1 anyway. This is what you're going to be now. He thinks it's a full go right out of the gates with Rashee Rice. I don't know if it's going to be that or not. I don't care if it's going to be that or not, as long as he's up to speed and is ready to go for week 9. Like, that's what I look at Rashee Rice as in they have 2 weeks to start working all these guys in to where pick your poison if you're a defense of who you're going to have to worry about on this play, because in 2 weeks, they play the Bills, and that might be, it obviously would be for a tiebreaker, whoever wins that game, but it could be the difference of the 2 or the 3 or the 4 seed.
That Colts game, honestly, it's hilarious
Could
to
be the
say,
one.
but the Colts could be 2 weeks after that.
Right, and I'm not going to put
3 weeks for the bye.
Yeah, 2 games after that, but I'm not going to say that could be for the 1 seed at this point because there are teams that are right there with the Chiefs, the Chargers and
Denver still
that
4-2.
That are I shouldn't say right there with the Chiefs, that are ahead of the Chiefs in terms of record. Yeah. While I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC still, the record wise and their schedule, it could be for the number 1 seed, or that game against the Colts could be for the number 1 seed in the AFC. We'll see. Or the Chiefs might just be playing for the 3rd or the 4th seed by winning their particular division. Also, go and win your division. That helps too. But that week 9, what do they look like? What does Rashee Rice look like by week 9? We'll get a great indication this weekend. April 25th, 2024. April 25th, 2024 to October 19th, 2025. That's the span from when we first started imagining Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy on the field at the same time to when it will actually happen on Sunday. That was the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, that first round night when they drafted Xavier Worthy.
It's my birthday.
Oh, is it? April 25th is your birthday?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, happy belated birthday. Sorry about that. I missed it.
Thank you.
But Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and then they drafted Xavier Worthy, and it was, they're going to have speed. They're going to have speed to burn. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue Rolling More Zone next. One of the things I'm wondering as we move forward, and maybe this will be what we're talking about in week like 13, 14, 15, and 16. The conversation about trading for a running back, trading for a defensive end, and obviously the trade deadline will be before those particular weeks. But I bring it up because, like, the last 3 weeks, what I find to be interesting has gone the opposite of what I thought it would happen with specifically Brashard Smith. Against the Ravens, he touched the ball. He had 7 touches. Against the Jags, he had 4 touches. And against the Lions, he had 3. So the last 2 weeks, he has combined for the same amount of touches, carries, and receptions as he did against the Ravens. Now, some of that is there was a blowout with the Ravens, and so he got the ball handed to him 4 times late in the game. He has had 4 carries this entire season outside of the Ravens game. So maybe, a little skewed in that. But I thought we might see more and more of Brashard Smith as the season progressed. And he had the 3 receptions for 21 yards in the game against Detroit. He had the 3 receptions for 32 yards in the game against the Jags. He had the 3 receptions for 27 yards in the game against the Ravens. So it's 3 straight weeks he has caught the ball. He has had 3 catches in 3 straight weeks. It's obvious how they're using him. I mean, the last 2 weeks, he's had 12 snaps on offense and 6 receptions. I mean, that's a trend, right? If I'm a defense and I see Brashard Smith in the game, I'm looking for a pass play to Brashard Smith. I'm not looking for a handoff to Brashard Smith. I'm looking for a pass play to Brashard Smith. I really, Sterling, want to see them start handing him the ball a little bit more. And I'm hoping that this weekend is closer to the Ravens game in the second half, that you can start to get Brashard Smith some more touches running the ball, because Brashard Smith could be their trade deadline acquisition, quote unquote, while at the actual trade deadline, maybe they look for a defensive end help, maybe Jalen Phillips, somebody like that, although that's probably not going to work because of the salary cap implications, but still somebody like that.
I almost don't care how they get the ball in his hands as long. I was okay with the 3 receptions. Yeah. I'm with you. I'd like to see, I guess,
it's an extension of the running game. It's true.
A couple of legit runs, but he's so good as a pass catcher as well. It's just so explosive. And there was one specific play where, not necessarily a knock on Pacheco. I'm not trying to take a knock on him. He's had a couple of solid weeks back to back. But there was one where he caught a pass, went for about 2 yards, and I'm sitting here going, I think Brashard Smith, if he catches that ball, that's a 12-yard gain.
There was also a play, and maybe Brashard Smith is patient like this, and we've been telling Pacheco to be a little more patient. So this is sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, so I offer that. But there was a play against the Lions early on. It was a handoff to the right side between Trey Smith and Juwan Taylor, and the hole was there. Yeah. But by the time Pacheco got there, it had been filled, and I'm like, a faster runner gets there and is passed by the time they get. But Brashard Smith might have slowed. I don't know. We want him to be patient, and he was. Matt Rule conversation next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We talked a lot of Chiefs in this first couple of hours. And we'll talk some college football here in this hour. I'm tweeting out right now what we're getting ready to talk about, and it's about Matt Rule and Nebraska. And as we talk about these things, Penn State's job opens up. His alma mater, where he met his wife, coached around the area there, and his name was the first one that came up. Best friends, the AD, all of that stuff, or really good friend, whatever. Let's play the clip from Matt Rule yesterday at the press conference. This is clip number 1, and this is both of these clips are, he gets in and he talks a lot. I mean, about it. He gets detailed in a lot of different things in talking about this. This is not well, I love my job, and Penn State's great, but I love what I'm doing here. I've got a job right now. He elaborates in both of these questions, but here's the first one, asked about the job opening at Penn State.
I love Penn State. Met my wife there. It's my alma mater. Fan since I was born. I think probably had a Penn State shirt when I was born. I love Pat Kraft. And really sad to see Coach Franklin go. When you think about what he did for my alma mater, the program was in peril, right? I mean, the players, people remember like the historic sanctions. You could transfer out, you could do whatever you want. Bill O'Brien comes in, stabilizes it for 2 years. James takes over a program in disarray and gives stability, excellence, and to see videos of people like yelling at his kids, and I just don't understand why in our country now coaches are villains. Do you know how hard I worked in Carolina and the things that were said to me, or how hard I work here and some of the things that are said, our coaches work here, how hard Sat worked last year. So I'm just really sad about that part of it. And people say, well, you make a lot of money. Making a lot of money doesn't make your kids feel good when they're hearing that. Make a lot of money. It's nice to make a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but still people. So I really respect James Franklin. Troy and I are in unbelievable relationship too, and Troy and I are in constant communication about this program and where we're headed. I came here for 2 reasons. I love the community here and wanted to live here, and I love it here. And I wanted to rebuild Nebraska football. And Troy and I understand the steps that you need to take to make us Big Ten champions and national champions. This place is elite, and I want to be a great father, and I want to be a great college football coach. And so, I'm not going to talk a lot about job openings when they come. Maybe it's been a while here, but this is what happens when you win. I've dealt with it. We've won at Temple, and I dealt with it all the time. I've dealt with Baylor. I'm not going to talk about those things ever. I'm not going to talk about my contract here. I'm going to talk about the team. But I absolutely love it here, and I want us to continue to take the steps needed for us to turn this thing into a beast. And players all across the country want to come here. We have the best facilities. We have elite fans, and I'm just looking at the future. So, but again, I love that place. I love Pat. I love James Franklin. Sad that came to an end. I wish him the absolute best, but I'm really happy here and excited to get going this week on Minnesota.
So he discussed that and answered that question about 2 minutes longer than I thought he would, because that was 2.5 minutes, and I was expecting it to be something like, it's going to be 30 seconds and be done. I love where I'm at. Or maybe like 15 seconds. I love where I'm at. I'm happy here. I have a job.
I'm focused on Nebraska football.
Yeah. Troy and I, and Troy Dan, the AD, Troy and I have a great relationship, even though he didn't hire me. We have a great relationship, okay? And whatever's happening at Penn State, I feel bad for James Franklin in that situation.
Because I feel bad for James because that was a win that we may have had on the on the record.
We fire that guy.
We thought we could beat him.
I don't want them to rally the troops and all of that stuff. So he went into, and by the way, that was pretty candid. I love Penn State. It's my alma mater. I love everything about it. I mean, I love that school. He wasn't shying away or backing away from hiding. Don't run away from your feelings. Another Tommy Boy one. He wasn't backing away from that. I love them. I love that. Met my wife, all of that stuff. But I want to win at the highest level here at Nebraska, that job is that job. At least that's what he said right there, but I want to talk about something else. But go ahead, Sterling.
He did say, and he wants to, rebuild the Nebraska, but it isn't necessarily say, I want to rebuild and stay and be the guy. Now, I don't have a massive issue with stuff that he had said to this point.
No.
I like the candidness. I like him being open. If I were a Nebraska fan, I wouldn't probably be thrilled. But at least from the outside looking in, I like someone who at least gives you a little more than just, no, this is where I'm at. And then eventually he leaves and you're like, well, you just told us you love where you're at and you never want to leave. And at least he's being honest and upfront and candid, and he knows and expands on his relationship at Penn State, so it makes it more palatable, even if you are, I guess, a Nebraska fan and alum. So I so far, to this 2.5 minute that we've heard from him so far, I can at least understand and slightly appreciate the openness from Matt Rule.
Yeah, it's not like what Fran Brown did at Syracuse when he scolded the reporter that said, your name has come up, the Penn State opening, do you have any or it was something along those lines of, your job here at Syracuse. And he got offended by it. It was like, why would you ask me that question? And then got mad and then mentioned something about, I guess off after the press conference about something like, Deion at Colorado, which Deion Sanders then told that Colorado reporter that he can't ask questions at the news conference, which is a little different because that Colorado reporter was the one that was calling him a fraud and had the different nicknames for him for Deion Sanders. He got personal in a number of different articles written about Deion Sanders. So that's a little different than someone who has been covering that team for a while in Syracuse. And Fran Brown's name immediately came up with Penn State because he's from the area as well, that, hey, your name comes up. It's just, it's what, do you have a comment on that? Because you know what the Syracuse fans would like to know? What's Fran Brown's comment on that? Because Fran Brown at his opening press conference said, I'm never leaving here.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to coach the rest of my career here at Syracuse. Which, that's fine. He could say it at the time. If he leaves, I'm not going to hold anything against him. And people, you said he was going to play. Oh, okay, whatever. It's a press conference. At the time, you probably felt that. But, dreams can change over time. If Lance Leipold turns down Wisconsin, I bet Lance Leipold 10 years ago would have punched himself in the face if he said he was going to turn down Wisconsin. There's no, don't worry, you'll be coaching at Kansas. What? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? So it's a little bit different there when he was weighing in and getting that detailed about it and actually giving his emotions. But what he did yesterday, and I want to play this clip, and this is, 2.5 minutes as well, was asked about building the Nebraska program, working with Troy. How does that happen? How do you get it to where you want it to be? And he talks for about 2.5 minutes, and I think what he did was give us the playbook from ADs across the country as to actually how you'll be attracting Power 4 coaches to other Power 4 jobs. Take a listen.
I think really now when you talk about football, we have the best facilities. We have the staff. There's really not many things yet. What Trev started and Troy has been elite. Troy's, like I said, he's a thought leader. He's a difference maker, and the investment from everybody. The thing I've always said is, we have to be unabashed. We can't always worry about the optics of everything. It's a really hard time in higher education. There's cuts, there's all these different things, but we're athletics here is a separate entity. We're not taking money from the university. And so the schools that invest, Dan Lanning had a great quote. When Oklahoma State, he said, he said, we're investing to win. And that's just players, right? And so, there's, in a world of $30 and $40 million rosters, which isn't going away, I'd like us to do the same thing. And there's sort of hey, that's not really the Nebraska way. And I'd like it to be. I'd like to invest. I'd like to be at the front of everything. Weren't we one of the first teams to ever do training table? And weren't we one of the first teams to ever do academic support? And weren't we one of the first teams to do AstroTurf, at the time Field Turf? And weren't we one of the first teams to have a jumbo board? But now, now we're talking about stadium, and everyone's didn't they build the Memorial Stadium faster than they built the Capitol? We've invested. We have a history here of being at the forefront and investing, and I just don't want to stop that. I just want to be the absolute best at it. And so, but just for one thing, just as we move forward. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it very often. I'm certainly not going to talk about it like with anyone other than my wife. But Julie decides where we live, so this has been an unbelievable. Her business, she loves it. It's been an unbelievable time in our lives, and I just think we can be. I think we can be a perennial top of the country, one of the best teams in the country. Now, I told our team, like, this is just part of winning. Like I tell our players, like, if you're a good player, everyone should be hitting you up to go in the portal. Do you think people are calling Ja'Cory Barney right now and saying, hey, why don't you come here and play for us? Hell yeah, they are. You know what I'm saying? Because you're winning. 2 weeks ago, I walked into the team. He'll get mad for saying this, but I told our team, 2 weeks ago, I walked into the team meeting before the Michigan State game, and College Game Day was on. It had College Game Day had Husker fans tired of Rule, wish they had Signetti, fire. So now all of a sudden 2 weeks later, people like me. I just, I love my players and I love the fans and I love all of this. Like, this is a great place, and I just want us to be positive about this place and where we're headed. Like, are we better than where we were? I haven't done it as fast as maybe some other people do, but we've done it better than some other people have in the last 2 years too. We're in a good place, and so I just want to keep rolling though, and that's why Troy's so elite.
I love the way he ended that, by the way. Just is so great because he starts off talking about the AD, and then gets into this long diatribe, right? That's the meat of what I want to talk about. But then after all of those things goes, and that's why Troy is so elite. And that's what made him special. Well, hold on. What are you talking about? That just was such a left turn at the end. But here's the money quote from that. When he said, Dan Lanning at Oregon, when Mike Gundy brought up they got a $40 million roster, $40 million roster. And he said, Dan Lanning said, we're investing to win. That's just players. But then he goes, and I want to read this quote again. We heard it right there, but I'll read it again to emphasize. In a world of $30 to $40 million rosters, which isn't going away, I'd like us to do the same thing. They're sort of like hey, that's not really the Nebraska way, and I'd like it to be. I'd like to invest. When revenue sharing was announced, and you were going to get 20 some odd $20 million, percentage breakdown of how you were going to be able to use that, football, basketball, Olympic sports, whatever it might be. And one of the things that I said at the time is we have a new way of negotiating now for coaches. I will take that job, but I'm not taking that job for 5% of your NIL revenue sharing. Or just revenue sharing. I guess it's not NIL, but just your revenue sharing. Or I'll stay, but I'm going to need to bump that up to 7% instead of 5%. And now you got to square that with the football coach. So what becomes more important? Because not only is it, traditionally, you will just simply pay the coach more money. Well, we're going to give this guy $8, $9, $10 million. And then it's, well, now we need to increase the salary for the coaching staff, which is the extension that Eli Drinkwitz got this last offseason, is that he got a bigger money pool for the assistant coaches. So he doesn't want his coaches leaving for the same job at a different university. You don't want somebody going from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator at a different Power 4 program and be like, well, we just couldn't pay him enough money. Well, no, now we have a larger pool to pay our assistant coaches. But Matt Rule right there is saying, Penn State is open. $30 to $40 million, that's just players. That's investing to win. Dan Lanning saying we're investing to win, that's just players. We have the facilities. We have top-notch facilities. We have the support from the fans. We've got the game day experience. We have everything that used to be attractive to get the recruits. You remember the arms race when it was the training facility, the dorm rooms,
I remember this because
the stadium.
This was right when I was in college.
Yeah.
Missouri had just joined the SEC.
Oh, and they are going up against SEC facilities now. Oh no!
But and that was a massive thing, and it wasn't even just for that. They did it for the students too. I remember they had a brand new, and at the time, I have no idea what it is now. It's probably 50th, but at the time, it was the #1 ranked gym and all this in college sports because they sunk so much money in it when they that was what was big at the time.
Yeah,
but now
it's not about. I mean, facilities may matter if it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, but every program that you go to is going to have essentially a nicer locker room than the majority of NFL teams.
Correct.
Like Chiefs players that get drafted from Power 4 programs to the Chiefs, it's a downgrade to the locker room from where they were to the Kansas City Chiefs locker room. And
Correct.
What Matt Rule is saying, Nebraska, invest. I want us to do that. $30-40 million rosters, which isn't going away. I'd like us to do the same thing, but there's this feeling of, hey, that's not really the Nebraska way. And I think what he's saying is the Nebraska way ain't real anymore. Nebraska was winning national championships in the 90s. They weren't winning national championships because of their walk-on program, which is such a, like, it gets talked about it like, oh, well, they get all these walk-ons from Nebraska, and that's what they're able to get these great players. Well, I mean, Lawrence Phillips ain't going to Nebraska from Jersey. Tommy Frazier ain't going to Nebraska from Florida. Maybe if they were a power option team and that was the case, but even option quarterbacks or stud athlete quarterbacks are now passing that can also run around and do some things there as quarterbacks. You offer that dual threat. We see more and more and more that, the best athlete was, well, let's just put that best athlete at quarterback and let him run around in high school. Well, now your best athlete might be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Or running back, which is oftentimes what it is, or a cornerback, and we're going to actually put a quarterback back there. Now, maybe that quarterback turns out to be our best athlete too, and he's throwing the ball and doing some different things. That's just how we'll win. But he's saying you got to invest here and at least present the plan that you're going to invest. If not, I'm going to negotiate investment at Penn State. And that's how you're going to get Power 4 to Power 4. If Florida comes open and they call Eli Drinkwitz and they tell Eli, we're going to pay you the same amount of money that Missouri's paying you, or we'll give you a little bit more. Your assistant coaches will get more money. We're going to give you 8% of the revenue sharing. Excuse me, we're going to give you, because it's football. I was thinking basketball when I'm talking about 5 to 6 to 7 in my mind, because I said it about basketball first of all. That was last year when we were talking about it. I'm like, you're going to get basketball coaches. So in my mind, I was still thinking basketball. But 15% is like, whatever it's going to be, 15 of the $20 million, 15% of that, whatever. You know what? At football here, Eli, we're going to give you 18%, or 18 of the $20 million. And we're going to have to deal with the other sports later. But we're going to give you 85%. Texas Tech, they've already came out and said 75% is going to go to the football program. 75% to the football program. Okay. You know what, Eli, we're going to give you 90%. That's how serious we are about football. And you're the guy that's, oh, and by the way, we've got a commitment from this booster, and this booster of money they're going to give yearly for your football program in the transfer portal to go and pay for players. So you're going to get the 85, 90% of the revenue sharing, and we already have a plan set up for the NIL money that we're going to be able to give on top of that. You're going to get the best players in the country here to Florida. That's what it's going to take now. It's not just going to be we're going to pay you more money, because if Eli Drinkwitz has something set up at Missouri where clearly he's got the money, like Shane Beamer was complaining about Jeremiah Trotter, because he didn't have the money. Matt Rule was asked about the running back position and saying, we ran out of money. We have money, but we prioritized other positions. And when running backs were available, we didn't have the money to pay them. We don't have $30 to $40 million rosters like Oregon. But what Matt Rule is saying, hey, Nebraska fans, if we're supposed to be this great program that is cutting edge and leading the way in how college football is run and all the different things that we do, why are we behind the times on this one? Because it takes paying the players to get them there. And if you don't play the game, you'll be hanging with Dabo Swinney. He didn't want to play the game. And now he's playing games, but he's losing. Other team, Eli's playing the game. Missouri was one of the first states to say, no, we're going to actually pass a law that you're allowed high school players to get NIL money if they're committing to a state school. They were on top of it early.
Yeah.
Missouri was. That's how you're going to compete. And if Penn State wants Matt Rule's telling them, I need a commitment of $30, $40 million of a roster. I need a commitment that I'm going to be competing with Oregon and Ohio State for the roster. However much James Franklin was getting, I'd like that and a little bit more, and we can talk about the revenue sharing percentage of 85% is minimum of what I'll take to leave Nebraska. If not, we love it here. My wife's got her business going here in Lincoln. We think we have something up and running. We're going to stay here. I think he's the next head coach at Penn State. I think they're going to hire Matt Rule. I think it's going to be too difficult for him to turn down his alma mater, his dream job, going back home to where he and his wife, are comfortable and familiar, and especially when he says, hey, she's going to be the one that decides where we live. Oh, by the way, it's my wife's fault I took the Penn State job. Don't get mad at me, Nebraska fans. Get mad at my wife. She's the one that decided we're going to move to Happy Valley, and we're going to be coaching. I'm going to be the head coach of Penn State. This is new age college football. It's not about that team was paying you $5, we'll give you $7. That team was paying you $5, we'll give you at least $5. But look at all this money you have access to go pay players. Because now you can win.
Do you think he is that good of a head coach? I think you take the Carolina Panthers out of it. I think NFL and college, we've seen time and time again, it's just different. It's just vastly different. We're getting closer to it being similar, but it's still vastly different. So I almost throw out the Carolina Panthers. He turned Temple around.
Mm-hmm.
He turned Baylor around from a 1-win team to an 11-win team. Temple from a 2-win team to a 10-win team.
Back-to-back double-digit,
2 years in a row. Nebraska's interesting. 5-7, 7-6. They're 5-1 this year.
Yeah.
But when you look at some of the games, and my concern, and I'm not a Penn State guy. You know me. For the most part, I actually dislike a lot of the big markets because Missouri, Kansas City. I like to rip on big markets. It's fun. Okay. If you're Penn State, are you sure he's just not beating up on a easier schedule this year? Are you sure?
Yeah, you can't just pay attention to this year though. You gotta look and see.
No, he did it at Temple. He did it at Baylor. But you got to make sure
Yeah.
that because Nebraska's the closest to a. That's a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska is a brand. If you're Penn State, you're a brand. You're not necessarily turning it. You were in the semis last year, the college football playoffs, right? Penn State was. You're not talking about a full-on turnaround of a 2-win team to a 10 at Temple or at Baylor.
No,
you're
it's hit the
talking.
ground running.
You're talking about in the Big Ten, where every single week, most weeks, you have a good team that you're facing. You don't have to turn this around. It has to be up and running year one.
Yeah. Well, he'd be facing some of these same teams that he's faced because he's facing the Big Ten. So it's like, is it an
I
easier
get it,
schedule?
but this year was
it's an
a
easier
little
schedule of the same conference he'll be in.
True, and maybe that's a completely fair point. When I looked at Nebraska's schedule this year, I'm like, I look down, I go, if you told me they win 9+ games this year, I'd buy it.
Here's the thing, though. Like, brand, I think, mattered at one point. Brand doesn't really matter if you're going to pay me more money to go there. Like in the SEC, Missouri's beating out some of these schools to get some of these top players. Is that because of Missouri's brand? Are they beating LSU and Alabama for certain players because of their brand? Or Eli has a little bit more to play with than maybe you would think Missouri would, and he's prioritized certain players that, hey, they're paying Jeremiah Trotter. He could have gone to South Carolina. If Missouri didn't prioritize Jeremiah Trotter, he might be a Gamecock right now. But they prioritized him, paid him the money, and hey, you know what? I'm going to Mizzou.
Well, and you got to get it right. That's what it comes down to
100%.
too. Because if you are, UCLA and you paid Iamaliva that much money, however, Nico, I forget.
Iamaliava.
If you pay him that much money,
It was like Iamalieving.
Yeah.
Iamaliava.
and he's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where does that leave you?
Yeah.
Like if you pay these quarterbacks and they're bad, luckily we can get into Bo Prabula in a little bit later as far as what happened in that Bama game, and maybe the arm left a little bit to be desired, obviously. But point still remains, overall, that's been a good investment for Missouri. Bo Prabula's been Penn State right now wishes they went with Bo Prabula over Drew Aller.
Well, because, and he's injured.
But I think even if you're saying who had a better year, it's been Bo over Drew, and it's not really close.
Yeah, and by the way, Miller Moss, that came down to Louisville and Mizzou before they moved on to Bo Prabula because they made their run at Miller Moss from USC.
Yeah.
That was the main guy they wanted. He's thrown 7 touchdowns with 4 interceptions this year in those 5 games. Those are his numbers. For a passing offense, by the way, that Tyler Shuck was a second-round pick to the Saints. or first round. Was he no second round?
Second round.
Second round is like
pick
the 10th,
40 or something. Whatever
yeah,
it was,
like the 10th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th pick of the second
where
round.
where the money was, the holdup was.
Yeah, but they got that out of Tyler Shuck, and Miller Moss was going to come right in and be that next guy, and he hasn't really been that guy. So that's who Missouri wanted. They didn't get him. Mendoza was probably the prize if we're looking at like passing quarterbacks. I mean, he goes to Indiana from Cal, and he keeps Signetti just rolling right along. And what he's done, like that seems to be the prize because some of the other quarterbacks that they were looking at haven't really materialized all that much for Mizzou. So they didn't end up with Miller Moss. Luckily, they ended up with Bo Pribula, whether he played a good game against Alabama or not, because a few of the other names that they were talking about have been rough at the spots that they went to.
The Big Ten is hilarious to me, by the way, just real quick, because there's 18 teams. Nebraska's, and this is not a knock on this. It's not their fault. This is just, it's great. It's how Indiana took advantage last year of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
You look at probably their best game, their toughest game they're going to have this year is USC, maybe at Penn State later on. Well, but Penn State, they're turmoil. You look at what Penn State has this year. They've already had a Oregon, at Ohio State, Indiana, and then you'll have, obviously, Nebraska. It's just funny how the Big Ten, there's so many teams. One schedule is going to be just brutal, and the other is going to be, relatively speaking, easy.
Well, that UCLA game looks a lot different now.
Sure? Yeah.
Because it's on the road at UCLA, and
I'm not ready for that yet.
We'll see. Last 2 weeks, we'll see. They helped get James Franklin fired. Maybe they helped get Matt Rule not going to Penn State. Maybe they then help Penn State move on to a different coach if they knocked off Nebraska. We'll see. But he said the part out loud. $30 to $40 million rosters. That's not going away. I'd like us to do the same thing. But you hear, hey, that's not really the Nebraska way. I'd like it to be. If you don't want me to go to Penn State, I'd like that to be the way at Nebraska here, because I have a feeling it's going to be the way at Penn State. And I know the way to get there. I lived there, went to school there, my alma mater, dream school. Just so you know, to keep Matt Rule is going to take a lot of investing commitment, not from the AD and from the facilities, from the money, from the boosters, from the surrounding people that he's sort of calling out yet again, as he did already this year with, unless you've written a check, don't question me on the roster. That's already been said by Matt Rule. There are a couple of people here in Nebraska that can question the roster. Everybody else, write a check, then come talk to me. And now he says this. It's the quiet part out loud for what coaching is now and how you attract coaches. If anybody wants Eli Drinkwitz, it's the same playbook. Write a check for that new school, because Missouri seems to be taking care of them, and maybe they'll have to reinvest even more, which, again, is only good for Missouri. If Matt Rule challenges Nebraska to invest, it's good for Nebraska. Dayton Moore, and I know we got a break, sorry, but Dayton Moore challenged David Glass. I'm not taking this job until you invest in the Dominican. I need you to do A, B, and C. We can't do it. No, thank you. Okay, Dayton, we're going to do A. Yeah, but I need B and C. We can't do it. No, thank you. Okay, Dayton, we're going to do A and B. Yeah, I need A, B, and C. We can't do it. No, thank you. Okay, Dayton, we're going to do A, B, and C. I'll take the job.
Yeah.
That worked out well for the Royals because they needed all of those things to start investing in for them to build up to get to a point to where you can have the players that ultimately resulted in a World Series. So it's good for Nebraska if Matt Rule challenges people if they step up. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Coming up at 1 o'clock, I want to talk about what we saw last night in Bijan Robinson specifically, and Sunday night in Jahmyr Gibbs, and what those two guys have in common in maybe changing the narrative around that particular position. We'll do that at 1 o'clock. But I do want to talk about what took place in Columbia on Saturday. Bye week coming up for KU and K-State before they match up next Saturday against each other. Mizzou has a massive game this weekend at 6:45 on SEC Network against Auburn because they're coming off the loss to Alabama, and if you have dreams of making the college football playoff, you can maybe lose one more time.
Yeah.
And if you lose this weekend, that means you have to finish the season undefeated the rest of the way. And you've got A&M, you've got Oklahoma. Heck, next Saturday you've got a trip to Vandy. That's a salty game. So it's not it. The schedule fattened up pretty quickly, right, after not leaving Columbia for roughly 2.5 years. So they lose to Alabama. And I know it was a frustrating game for a lot of people to watch because you felt like maybe for the first time that I can ever remember that Mizzou and Alabama, roster-wise on the field, belonged on the same field with Alabama. Like, I didn't see a game where if Mizzou's going to win, they need a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be like +3, have some crazy broken play that results, a defensive or a special team score where, you can be in the game late. I mean, they had the ball at the end down 3 in a scenario that I didn't think they would have that chance when they were down 10 after the multiple fourth down conversions by Alabama and Kalen DeBoer going for it and Ty Simpson throwing one of the best footballs for a college player that you will see on that fourth down and long that was converted. A beautiful pass, an absolutely beautiful pass. Missouri was right there with Alabama, and unfortunately in that game, they were outplayed by a pretty wide margin at the most important position, which is the quarterback position by Ty Simpson against Bo Pribula. And I think the difference is, and this is where I think Auburn is going to be a massive game for Mizzou and specifically Bo Pribula. The difference is, Bo would come in sporadically at Penn State and run the ball a little bit for Drew Aller.
Sure.
In big games, but he would come in every once in a while. Ty Simpson's been at Alabama this year, and he's played in big game after big game already. This was not the first time on that stage for Ty Simpson. This was the first time on that stage for Bo Pribula when a ton of people are watching. Your chance to say we're for real. First top 15 matchup in Columbia in 50 years, and a chance to prove yourself that you are one of, if not the best teams in the SEC, and you got Bama coming to town. And he wasn't ready for the moment. It doesn't mean that he won't be ready for the moment again. That's why I think Auburn is going to be important. Like, Bo Pribula seems like a pretty tough kid.
Agreed.
He doesn't seem like a dude that after that game will just melt and go away and then play like that continuing. But Saturday night is pretty important to see if he bounces back and plays a better game, throwing the football, making decisions, making the correct reads, the way that he just simply didn't do against Alabama. It was one read, panic, run, or one read, stare, throw the ball, and it's incomplete and you're punting. They were 1 of 9 on third down.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, you rewatch the game, there were some high school wide open players that he threw to guarded guys.
And again, we know the play at the very end, and that was the one that's going to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough one where he thought, I believe, that Kevin Coleman was going to kind of
It was Olugbade.
Yeah, and I think he thought he was going to sit.
The earlier one,
was
that he thought
to
was
Coleman,
Kevin Coleman.
And Speedy Johnson's just wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned a lot in the KU game too. I know it's not Bama, but that was a big game for Missouri fans. That meant a lot.
That's true.
That meant
Good point.
a lot, and that was at home. And he looked rattled early. I thought that he looked like the moment was too big early in that game, and then he settled down and he helped lead Missouri to a massive win. That again, yeah, I agree, it is not Bama, but for Missouri fans and alumni, that game meant a lot because it hadn't been played in a long time, and there was some extra
good point.
something to that game.
No, that's a good point of being in that moment that night and answering the bell in the second half.
Yes, because again, that he could have easily rolled over after he fumbled, and it was a scoop and score. I mean, a lot of things. You were down 21-6 to your rivals of a historic magnitude.
Yeah.
And you knew what that meant for the Mizzou alumni and fans.
Yeah.
This was more of, again, nationally speaking, this was more of a showcase, even for yourself.
Even for himself, yes.
So, yeah, it's not great. But I want to give a huge shout out to this Missouri defense, who early on you got a little nervous. That second half, they buckled down. They gave Missouri the offense a chance multiple times towards the end. When they needed to get a 3-and-out, they got a 3-and-out. I mean, that Missouri defense, they held their own.
Yeah.
And again, Ty Simpson is a hell of a quarterback. The fourth down, sometimes you tip your cap and say, wow,
good on Kalen DeBoer for going for it both times.
the stones to do that. And so I actually have a lot of – I left that game, as you mentioned, going, they're right there. Missouri's – and I hate this. It's called, we're not giving oranges and clementines out after the game. I would love some vitamin C right now, but the point still remains. Like, moral victories don't mean bleep. But there is a little bit – like, if this was the NFL, I would leave this game feeling more excited about Missouri going forward. But we know there's fewer games, and we understand how the playoffs actually work. You can only lose 2 games probably. It's not like – the Chiefs would be out of the playoffs right now if this was college football. They're sitting at 3-3. They might be the best team, but they're out of the game.
They better win their conference. But if they can win their conference, they get an automatic bid there to the playoffs.
But you look at the defensive line, and you look at Zion Young. You look at Damon Wilson. They had 7 tackles for loss in this game. Missouri did.
They were good. I would like Zion to not have the.
I know the boneheaded penalty. I'm with you.
He wasn't even in the play. That's what's so annoying about it. He wasn't even in the play. He had to run 10 yards to come over and taunt.
I know. It was dumb.
It's 3rd and 15, and they end up getting. They may have scored the touchdown on that drive anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
Ty Simpson may have sat back there and just found an open receiver, but that opening drive for Mizzou, and then 3rd and 15.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that was rough.
But the point remains, as far as the actual production and play, this Missouri defensive line, they've had some issues, but they can get after the quarterback a little bit with those 2 guys specifically.
Yeah, I think, and again, I think maybe even specifically for Bo Prabula in this game, because there's no other way around it. He didn't play well. He ain't the only one that didn't play well, but he didn't play well. Would you like Speedy Johnson to not jump up and down like that at the end of the game? Certainly, you would like your wide receiver to not do that.
Do you understand it, though? I mean, I understand it completely.
I do, because, again, Bo Prabula missed him a lot in that game. That wasn't just the only play. There was a touchdown on the second drive down the right sideline, and he threw the ball 10 yards out of bounds.
Yep.
There was a 3rd down earlier in the game that was 3rd and 2, and Prabula gets the ball in the shotgun and stares at Brett Norfleet. Kevin Coleman is not guarded up top. There's twins up top. There are 2 defenders for Alabama. You need 2 yards, and 2 wide receivers for Mizzou, Speedy Johnson and Kevin Coleman.
Yeah. Where
would you possibly look for those 2 yards? Both defenders ran with Speedy Johnson to the middle. Kevin Coleman was left unguarded at the top of the screen. Instead, he stayed, stared at Norfleet, and then threw it to Norfleet, who was guarded, and the linebacker just knocked it away. And then you got a punt because you were at your own 25-yard line. That could have been how wide open Coleman was, and only 1 Alabama player to beat if he catches the ball. That could have been a touchdown. And that play there, which is interesting that it's like, he was staring at the sideline. It's like, man, work the middle of the field a little bit. And then Speedy Johnson is down at the bottom, and I'm sitting there watching it. I said to my son, I'm like, just throw it to Speedy. Just throw it to Johnson right there. He's wide. The guy's 11 yards off of him. Just throw it to him, and then he can run, pick up yards, and step out of bounds. And then his defender just left him. He's the one that intercepted the ball. It was at the snap the defender ran straight backwards. That's why Speedy just stopped, like, ball. That guy's 20 yards away, ball. And Prabula throws it to the guy who was guarding Speedy Johnson, who left him and ran 20 yards away. Like, that play is to the sideline. You hit him, he's running down the sideline, and he can get out of bounds. Like, the decisions there, it felt like he was predetermining before the snap where he was going to go with the ball. And if it wasn't, I'm just going to throw it. And if it's not there, I got to run or, maybe even get sacked. He just never felt comfortable in the pocket. And there were lots. And it's unfortunate because, again, a number of people didn't play well in that game. So it's not just Bo Prabula. Coleman sort of disappeared. But I think also Coleman disappears if you don't get him the ball. Kirby Moore has some splaining to do.
It's a number 3 issue.
Kirby Moore has some splaining to do because Mizzou was down by they were tied and then down by from being tied to being down by 10. Ahmad Hardy touched the ball twice.
Yeah.
They ran the ball 4 times. One of those was the fake punt.
Which I actually didn't mind the play call.
I didn't mind the
and by the way,
I didn't mind
it was inconclusive.
Yeah, I just
I do
would have liked
wonder
to
if
keep
he
your
got
offense
that.
out there.
Yeah, sure.
It tells me something if I want to go for it, but I can't trust my offense to do it. I got to trick them to go for it. Whereas Caitlin DeBoer is like, we're going for it. We're just going to keep our offense out there and keep getting it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, that's all.
It was a good fake, and he was. It was.
It's fine. He was almost there. I don't really know I know their strategy behind it of running to the short side of the field, because Roberts was there at the sideline because they ran to the short side of the field. Maybe running to the wide side of the field makes a little. I don't know. There's strategy behind it certainly, but all of that being said. It's obviously a big game for Mizzou, but I do think it's a big game for Bo Prabula to see if that game taught him and you learn from experience in that big atmosphere. Go down and make plays against Auburn. You can erase that Alabama game pretty quickly.
I believe in it because I think, again, the receivers are open.
Yeah, they were.
By the way, Olubade is a stud.
He's good.
My goodness.
And by the way, that was a great back shoulder throw from Bo Prabula to Olubade on 4th down.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. I don't want to.
So
it wasn't all negative. He made some good throws in the game.
He did, and he had a good play with his leg at
yes,
times. So again, you see the glimpses that make you pretty intrigued about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do see again. Missouri played bad and lost by 3.
Yeah.
Missouri didn't play great and lost by 3 to Bama.
Yeah.
Say that 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. I think it might have been different if they'd have looked at Ty Simpson, who was laying on the ground not moving after having his head slammed into the ground. If maybe they would have checked. I don't know. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Michael, should we take a timeout here? He's so annoyed right now. He's so mad. He's shaking his head back there, and I'm still not taking a timeout. Even like he is so mad right now. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll get into some running back stuff in the 1 o'clock hour, but quick segment here. I know
Fact.
I joked about we talked about the Pro Football Talk power ranking that has the Chiefs at number 13, moving up 4 spots from number 17 after beating what was the number 1 team in the Lions. Is that worse than the ESPN power rankings?
Oh, it's ESPN's. I didn't even take a look-see.
The Chiefs were the Chiefs were number 7 last week, and the Lions were number 1.
Okay.
Lions fell down to number 2. Do you know what the Chiefs are?
5.
9. They dropped 2 spots.
For winning?
They beat the number 1 team in the power rankings a week ago, and by winning that game, the Lions only dropped 1 spot because, they lost to the Chiefs. It's not that bad. But the Chiefs dropped 2 spots after beating the Lions, and the teams that leapfrogged them were the Los Angeles Rams that beat the Ravens, the Green Bay Packers that beat the Bengals. Jumped the Chiefs. So they dropped from 7 to 9.
Neat.
So winning at home,
It's all
winning
about,
at home
yeah.
against the number 1 team Lions drops you 2 spots. But the Rams beating the 1-win Ravens, 1 without Lamar, 2 benching their quarterback in the middle of that game, and the Packers beating the Joe Flacco-led Bengals by 11, by the way. Or, excuse me, by 9.
But is Joe Flacco elite?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
You can't spell Joe without elite because you need the E. At least one of them. But they beat the Bengals by 11. Chiefs beat the Lions by 13. Like, what do we do? It doesn't matter. I get it. But some of these are just laughable. I will play some Fact or Fiction coming up later on this hour with Drake. Drake's going to hang out with us. A couple things that I want to get into. The running backs last night, Bijan Robinson, and then Sunday night, Jahmyr Gibbs, those two running backs, and what we sort of think about running backs. And then also I want to talk about this study out of UTEP that people are just jumping on in the, quote, empirical evidence that shows a clear and obvious sign of a disproportionate amount of penalties in the postseason that impact the Chiefs in a disproportionately positive way, comparatively speaking to other teams, what would take place in the postseason from 2015 to 2023, which is interesting because last year was the year that people complained about the most, and yet it didn't include last year. I'll get into that in just a little bit because I think it's so absurd, some of the things that they were using and looking at and not looking at in that one. But you know what? They got what they wanted, which is people talking about it and people linking to it and not actually caring about what took place in the study. But last night, Bijan Robinson has over 200 yards total from total yards from scrimmage. And he was the best player on the football field, not a quarterback. Like, if you're talking about, like, just best overall football player, yeah, the most important position is the quarterback, and Josh Allen's the reigning MVP. But Bijan Robinson may be right now the best offensive player in football that's not a quarterback. And he was drafted number 8 overall. And Jahmyr Gibbs, who has been fantastic for Detroit and, you know, got held in check to a large degree on Sunday night. The running game overall was less than what people would have expected to have happen for the Lions against, based on success rate, a rough running defense. But Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted 12th in that same draft in 2023. And I went and looked at the running backs in the last 10 years of drafts that were taken in the top 20. And what did those running backs end up being? Like, were they worth it? Was that running back drafted in the top 20 worth that particular selection? Because we talk about the value and the premium on position and what you would be paying that particular position, but also it's about finding football players that help your football team, and in the first round, you can't miss.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get that right.
So you're going to what year?
2016.
Okay.
So the last 10 drafts. That's including this year as well. We can take out this year if we want to, but it's just Ashton Genty at number 6. We'll see if he ultimately will end up being worth that particular pick. But here are the years going back to 2016. 2016, the only running back drafted in the top 20 that year was number 4 overall pick out of Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott, to the Dallas Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott had almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage that year, 16 touchdowns. The next year he got injured, played only 10 games. The year after that, he had 2,000 yards from scrimmage. And the year after that, he had another 18 yards from scrimmage. So his first 4 seasons, 3 of those, when he wasn't injured, gained minimum 18 yards from scrimmage, rushing and receiving, and was in double-digit touchdowns, including 16 and 15. So would you take he was not Offensive Rookie of the Year because Dak Prescott was that year with the Cowboys. But looking at that draft in 16, it's like, okay, who would you take instead of Ezekiel Elliott? You could have taken some other players. But would you have known that they were going to be that if you knew in 2016 Ezekiel Elliott is going to give you this as a running back over the next 4 years? I don't think you missed on the number 4 pick, even though it was a quote-unquote running back, and you can't take that lack of value.
Yeah.
2017, number 4 overall pick was Leonard Fournette. Number 8 was Christian McCaffrey. Now, Patrick Mahomes went number 10. That's the guy that should have been number 1. If not number 1, then number 2. If not number 2, then number 3. You get it. On until, if not number 9, then he should go 10th. And he did. Finally, go 10th. Leonard Fournette did not turn out to be the running back that the Jags thought they were getting with the 4th overall pick. But Christian McCaffrey at number 8 has turned out to be a guy that you would say, yeah, his play in the NFL is worth a top 10 pick.
Yes.
What he has done, and and especially from a position that, like, he's not just a running back. He's a weapon because he's also getting tons of receiving yards out of the backfield. And so those two guys were taken in the top 20. They were the only ones taken, and they were both taken in the top 10. Obviously, both teams would have rather had Patrick Mahomes. The Jags and the Panthers would have been better off taking Patrick Mahomes. Which, by the way, that running back class was pretty crazy because Leonard Fournette went 4th. Christian McCaffrey went 8th. Dalvin Cook went 41st. Joe Mixon went 48th. Alvin Kamara went 67th. Kareem Hunt went 86th. And then Dante Foreman 89. And then James Conner 105. So all of those running backs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 running backs, 6 of them made at least one Pro Bowl. The only ones that didn't were Leonard Fournette and Dante Foreman. McCaffrey, Cook, Mixon, Kamara, Kareem Hunt, James Conner. So that was 2017. 2018, Saquon went number 2. He was sort of the guy for the Giants for the next 4 years until he went to the Eagles, and he was a big reason why the Eagles ended up winning the Super Bowl. So did the Giants miss on Saquon, or did they not build enough around him, or they miss on Daniel Jones, or was the coaching not good enough because we're seeing what Daniel Jones does with Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah.
2019, no running backs taken in the top 20. Josh Jacobs was taken at 24. Would it have been a bad pick if he was taken in the top 20? Josh Jacobs by the Raiders? No. 2020, no running back taken in the top 20. The first running back taken that year was sorry. It was I'll get it. It was CEH went first, running back taken. Jonathan Taylor went 41st. If Jonathan Taylor would have gone in the top 20, would that have been a mistake as a running back? No. The Colts traded their first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. So they got DeForest Buckner, and they ended up getting Jonathan Taylor anyway, and Michael Pittman. Pretty good haul.
Very good draft.
Pretty good haul in the first and second round for the Indianapolis Colts. 2021, no. 2022, nothing. 2023, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. 2024, no running back taken in the top 20. And 2025, Ashton Genty. What I'm seeing and looking at is, like, I know that the value isn't necessarily for a running back, but what Jahmyr Gibbs does for the Lions, what Bijan Robinson does for the Falcons, what the Raiders are hoping Ashton Genty will do for them, what Ezekiel Elliott did for the Cowboys, Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers, and until they end up moving on and trading him, Saquon for the Giants and the player that he is, those players drafted in the top 20, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 of the 7 turned out to be like, well, we'll see Ashton Genty. So we'll say 5 of 6. From 2016 to 2024, turned out to be guys that were worth the draft pick at that time. I am not advocating that the Chiefs go and trade up and get a running back in the top 20, but I do think it's interesting in watching Bijan do what he did last night, watching Jahmyr Gibbs help turn around the Lions franchise, Saquon doing what he did with the Eagles, that running backs value, the pendulum swinging one way or another, it may have swung too far the other way, but those running backs that are taken that high are typically living up to that recently.
I think it's tough when because some of those guys, I don't want to say were generational talents, but some stood out more than others. Gibbs and Bijan stood out more than others in that draft class, right?
Yep.
And I think it's tough when you also see running backs maybe more than other positions have success later on than drafts. When you see guys like James Cook as a second rounder, when you see just the plethora of talent at running back that are drafted also from second round on, but then you also have the Jonathan Brooks of the world who were very talented but have always been injured, and those were second round guys. Like Leonard Fournette would have also, I think, been considered, I think generational, maybe I'm throwing it around too often, but all-pro caliber guys that I think the majority of people would agree are all-pro caliber guys. Leonard Fournette fell into that category. Trent Richardson probably fell into that category. But that's also with any position. I think running back almost has this stigma around it, where when you take a Mozzie Smith or Maisie Smith, if you're the Cowboys at, what was that, 26th? I think
trying to trade up, almost for him. 24, 25,
Right,
26, around there, yeah.
But it's almost you get a pass because it's a trench guy. You're picking a guy in the trenches. I don't know. You're right. The running back position just has more of a stigma around it, and wide receiver to an extent has that too. Where if it's a wide receiver, you better hit if it's a first round wide receiver, because if you miss on it, there's always going to be a guy in the second, third, fourth, fifth that you're looking back going, well, what about Puka Nacua? You could have had that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's I think fantasy football has a reason behind it, because wide receiver and running back, there's those names get thrown around and they're way more obvious, so you pay more attention to guys that went before and after so much more. But you're right. I think we've
at least these specifically, those top 20 picks have been like, okay, they're different. Because there's not a top 20 pick every year.
No,
right?
no.
There wasn't one in 19, 20, 21, 22.
He's different.
Yeah.
I just think that we've almost swung so far. The pendulum has swung so much farther than the running backs don't matter to.
Yeah.
Well, hey, maybe they matter a little bit. You can't put anyone back there. You still need someone who can bring some juice to that position.
Well, 16, 17, and 18, there were 4 running backs taken in the top 10. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There were 3 total taken in the top 12 because Gibbs went 12th. So clearly people were like, we're not taking running backs. But then Bijan went 8th, and it was like, oh, is he really worth number 8 pick? The Falcons, what are they doing? He looked worth it last night.
After, by the way, a 1,000-yard rusher the year prior in Tyler Algier.
That's a good point, yeah.
When to build off Jason's point, you can find fine running backs in the 7th, the 4th, the 2nd.
Fine,
but that top-tier talent, the game changers like the Bijan Robinsons and the Jahmyr Gibbs of the world, they're a top 15 draft pick.
Unless you find them later on, like Jonathan Taylor was there. And a lot of people were like, hey, Jonathan Taylor seems to be pretty good. Too much tread on the tire, right? Derrick Henry was the 2nd-round pick. Alvin Kamara. But you've got to find and identify those things. But to your point, Sterling, as well, the ones that have separated themselves in terms of these guys are legit, 5 out of those 6 that we've seen from 2016 have turned out to be that. The only that wasn't was Leonard Fournette. Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys have all turned out to be that. I wanted to talk about, we're going to do Fact or Fiction with Drake in the next segment. But there's this UTEP study that's out, okay? That some dude in the Financial Review Journal did a study on the Kansas City Chiefs and financial pressure shaping NFL officiating. This was the premise of financial issues with the NFL, because they have had lots of financial struggles. The NFL has. They are not inelastic at all. Nobody believes that. The financial struggles that they have had result in favoritism and pressure shaping officials and their calls, especially in the postseason. This was the study that was done. And as they write here, the new study from the University of Texas El Paso has uncovered how financial incentives may subtly shape officiating decisions in one of America's most iconic institutions. By analyzing more than 13,000 penalty calls from 2015 to 2023, researchers found that postseason officiating has disproportionately favored the Patrick Mahomes-era Kansas City Chiefs, coinciding with their rise as one of the most remarkable or one of the most marketable franchises. The study provides one of the clearest empirical looks at how financial pressures can influence real-time rule enforcement, the UTEP research team said. Unlike traditional regulatory settings, NFL officiating, which is carried out by referees and judges, offers immediate and publicly visible decisions. This transparency offers a test bed for whether economic reliance on high-profile entities alters enforcement behavior, a phenomenon known as regulatory capture. Everybody knows that phenomenon. Spencer Barnes says, our findings suggest that when the league's financial health is at stake, rule enforcement may subtly shift to protect market appeal. The fact that postseason penalties consistently favored one franchise while similar dynasties showed no such pattern points to the powerful role of financial incentives in shaping supposedly neutral decisions.
Patriots, no such dynasty has ever been favored. The Patriots never got a single call.
So,
That's a fact.
First of all, he says our findings suggest this could be the case. They start off by saying financial incentives may subtly shape officiating, while then throwing in the clearest empirical look. It's the clearest empirical look that we have found that may suggest, that may say they get some sort of an advantage. Now, here's what's so absurd. This study is about the Patrick Mahomes dynasty. It specifically says that, with the Patrick Mahomes marketability for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet, the result of financial pressures on the league, this is from the study, stemming from the sharp decline in TV viewership and ratings during the politically charged 2015 to 17 seasons, the implications extend beyond football. The study draws parallels to financial markets, corporate governance, and regulatory agencies where dominant players enjoy advantages not because of explicit corruption, but because institutions under pressure adapt to preserve stability and revenue. The Kansas City Chiefs were used as a marketability team because of a decline and politically charged viewership in 2015, 16, and 17. And the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs started in 2018. So what does the Chiefs being marketable in 15, 16, and 17 have to do with the dynasty and the rise, the dynastic rise, and the officials being part of that? Not that 15, 16, and 17 is a specific cutoff in this to then 18. What happened in 18? I got to go back and look. I'm not sure what took place in 2018, but 15, 16, and 17, I don't know what the difference is between that and then 2018 and that rise in the Chiefs dynasty of being the marketability, the marketable team. Because everybody knows if the NFL wants to sell ratings and viewership, they start in Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you, UTEP. It's about freaking time that we get our flowers in Kansas City, that people recognize the viewership, the numbers, the money that we drive in Kansas City, Missouri. Don't let anybody ever tell you different, because every single person that's retweeting this study, they are saying Kansas City's a damn force. That city drives ratings in the NFL. Not because of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs. It's because they needed viewership, so they decided, what's the best place that we can maximize viewership? Cowboys, get the hell out of here.
Big barbecue.
It's always big barbecue. Giants, get the hell out of here. To hell with New York. Jets, that's a fun one. No way. Rams, Chargers, 49ers, the Dolphins, that's a fun one.
The Bears, Chicago.
Atlanta, Chicago, where could we go?
Let's pick a city that's hasn't won a Super Bowl in 50 years.
Right, that's fun. Let's pick one of the most marketable franchises that has won one playoff game in 3 decades. And that's the one we're going to build up. Also, it stops at 2023. You just did the study. Why couldn't you have included 2024? Did it not work in your favor? Why'd you include 15, 16, and 17? Because the numbers show that under Patrick Mahomes, they have been heavily penalized. But also, you know what they didn't include? When they look at postseason penalties for the Chiefs that are different than regular season penalties. And by the way, it's like a difference of 0.025 of the penalties overall. But you know what they didn't include? Riddle me this, UTEP. Why do the Chiefs' turnovers cut in half in the postseason? Why do the Chiefs go from turnovers per game, being what they are in the regular season under Patrick Mahomes, to those turnover per game cut in half? Is that because the officials are not letting them fumble the ball? Are they not letting them throw interceptions? Or maybe, just maybe, there's a thing called coaching and focus that the Chiefs when it comes time to the biggest games that they have waited to play all year, they get through the regular season to play those games. And when they play those games, it looks like Sunday night when they were talking about all week of the penalties. Penalties, penalties, penalties. We can't have penalties and turnovers. Penalties and turnovers. We got to play a clean game. They went into the game focused to play a clean game. They didn't commit a turnover. So do they do that in the postseason too? Oh, my God. Maybe a well-coached team with good players that is actually focusing that this is the biggest game of the season might go out there and play a focused football game. But it's easier to say Chiefs bad cheat. Refs help Chiefs. They didn't help the Patriots. Well, because apparently the NFL didn't need help.
What happened in 2018?
I don't know.
Well, the Chiefs lost to the Patriots.
Son of a gun. Why didn't they get help by the officials? Oh, they needed a roughing the passer call on Patrick Mahomes. That's right. That's why the Patriots ended up losing, right? Because Mahomes, they called a roughing the passer on the Patriots when Mahomes' shoulder was hit, right? It was, I can't remember who for the Patriots defensively, hits Mahomes' shoulder, roughing the passer. That was called, right? And then they called the Patriots offsides, taking away an interception that would have ended the game to let the Chiefs win, right? They were never benefited by the refs, the Patriots weren't. With one of the most egregious roughing the passer calls we've ever seen in the postseason that gave the Patriots a automatic first down on a drive in which they scored a touchdown. But it's not as cool as saying, see, it says there's empirical evidence. I don't even know what empirical means, but it sounds strong. We'll talk with Drake. We got Fact or Fiction next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Drake hanging out with us today because Todd Lebo is lazy. I don't even want to come to work today. Is Todd Lebo off today? Is he getting 2 Columbus Day days off here?
He's helping his dad move.
Oh.
You want to help his dad move?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm all right. Todd, best of luck.
Yeah.
Keep it going, man. We're all thinking about you, you know? So Todd's out, but Drake's in.
Hey, Drake.
Pumped about that. I'm pumped
Fact,
about
I'm
it.
excited for this. Went to
Drake's
a concert last night.
Fact or fiction, Drake, you're excited about this.
Fact.
Oh, yes.
It's a fact.
I think I went to see Alan Stone last night. He was outstanding. He used to stay at our house 15 years ago, back in the day when he was just making
Alan
his way
Stone stay like in your basement or something? Or?
Yeah. He used to stay. I mean, he was a lot of those smaller artists, they don't have places to stay. They don't have the money to pay for
That's cool.
hotels. So he used to stay with us. Great guy. Hung out with him for a while after the show. Nice. Just such a great guy. If you don't know Alan Stone, check it out. He was outstanding.
What venue was that? Where was he last night?
Uptown.
Okay.
And then we saw Quinn 92, which didn't know much, but he must have been very popular. About the same time, I should know him. It was like 2015, 16. And, I mean, everyone felt like they knew every song, but it was fun. I just went for the opener and hung out for a while. Great time. I think I'm going to go see Sebastian Bach soon.
There we go.
Drake, I was going to ask
Cool.
you.
Are you going to go with him?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you wanted to join me to see
No.
Sebastian Bach. Why not?
No.
Not a Bach fan.
Last time I saw Sebastian Bach, he flipped me off. So.
Forgot
Really?
about that. Yeah.
I kind of want to know the story of this now.
I was at a show I didn't want to go to
Yeah.
because I was trying to get this girl to get back together with me when I was 16, and she decided to not go to the show after I'd bought these tickets, so I was up real close, and I was a jerk 16-year-old, so I flipped him off, and he flipped me off back.
So in fairness, it was your fault.
Well, yeah.
It was the monkey business you were doing.
Drake was the aggressor.
Yeah.
It wasn't 18 in life. It was 16 in life.
Rabble
Something like
rouser
that, yeah.
over here.
Yeah. Hearns Center, Columbia.
Is that what he means?
Hearns.
Oh, I love that. Is that what he's talking about with the youth gone wild?
Probably.
Is
It
that
was
what that
me.
song was
He
about?
wrote
It was
right
about
after,
you.
He wrote it right after the concert. It's
Yeah.
like this 16-year-old little punk
Yeah.
flipping me off at my show.
Yeah.
All right, so no Sebastian Bach for Drake, but Sterling will be enjoying that. Let's enjoy some fact or fiction. Since Drake is in for Todd, should we start with him?
Let's start with Drake.
We'll start with Drake since he's in for Todd.
Drake. Juju will be the biggest snap count casualty with Rashee Rice returning.
You mean once he's fully integrated into the games, or like this week?
It's a good caveat. We'll say fully integrated.
Okay.
Fact.
Fact.
I think it's a fact.
Fiction.
Whoa.
It's totally
Jalen Royals?
I think it's going to be Hollywood.
Oh, that's fine.
And the reason being, Hollywood's still going to get a lot of snaps, but I think Juju's going to get a lot more than people think because he's going to be used a lot on running situations. He is the best run-blocking wide receiver on this team. So I think Juju will keep playing more than people think, and Hollywood might take a slight step back.
Well, you need a bully out there, so they need Juju to do that. All right, we head to Darcy will lead us off. We're all tied at 0.
Jaden Hicks will continue to get fewer snaps. This trend shall continue. I'm not saying he gets lower than 11 snaps.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like he's going to he was playing 100% and then it was like 75, 50. I still think he's going to continue getting fewer snaps.
Fact or fiction?
Yes, fact. He stays on this trend.
What?
Fact or fiction, does he stay on this trend? Fact or fiction? Fact. Because you just said fact, he
You
stays on the
just said
trend.
it.
Yeah, you just said the answer.
I was gonna say fiction because I think somebody is probably gonna get hurt, and then he'll end up. But because people get hurt, but because you said it was a fact, I'm gonna say fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
In
I
explaining
don't-
it, you actually gave out the answer.
I didn't remember doing that. That sounds unlike me. But yeah, I think that Noel Williams has shown that you have to have him on the field, and Shamari Connor is not going off. So that means Noel Williams, to an extent, is almost taking snaps away from Jaden Hicks, which is weird cornerback safety
Certainly,
combo. But
yeah, that happened on Sunday
it's
night.
the way it's rolling.
I was surprised. I thought we would see more Shamari Connor, less Noel Williams. Instead, it was Jaden Hicks that ended up suffering from that. 1-1-1. We're all tied. I'll go first here.
I'll try not to give the answer away this time.
That's fine.
K-State will end up making a bowl game.
Fact.
What's the rest of their schedule like?
They got KU after the bye. And then they have
I'll pull it up for you guys.
I don't have it in front of me.
I pulled it up earlier, but I'll pull it up to give you guys, since Drake is difficult and asks questions.
Bragger.
I just don't think I've looked at the schedule since the beginning of the season.
At Kansas, Texas Tech, at Oklahoma State, at Utah, Colorado.
That's right, the Tech and Utah.
There's a couple of wins in there. Fact.
You're a K-State believer. Fact.
That's 5 games left. And they need to win 3 of 5.
Uh-huh.
They'll win Oklahoma State. They'll win Colorado.
They have to split one of the other 3. They just have to go 1 and 2 in those other 3.
Yeah.
No, they have to go. They need to win 3 more games.
Yes.
And you just gave them 2 wins, Oklahoma State and Colorado.
Yeah. So they have to be at Utah, Texas Tech,
right,
and at Kansas.
They have to go 1 and 2 in those games.
Fiction.
We made this one up.
We all said fact on that, right?
I don't think they beat at Utah. I don't think they beat Texas Tech. So that means they this week could get, or after the bye, at Kansas, I think they would have to win.
All right.
Sorry, I don't think you do.
We'll see what happens.
Wow.
With that. All right.
I think we're on opposite ends of the spectrum there.
I think Jalen Daniels is good.
Well, I don't. Fact. Yes, I agree.
Fact.
Drake will lead us off. We're all tied at 1.
Kansas will end up winning 8 games this year.
They're at 4 right now, so they have to go.
So they'd have to go
4
4
and
and 1,
2.
4 and 2. What's their
4?
what's
K-State.
their schedule? Okay.
Oklahoma State, at Arizona, at Iowa State, home against Utah.
Fact.
I'll say fiction.
Whoa, how about that hedging? No, they'll get 2 wins in there. So yeah, that's especially you'd think they're beating K-State, so it's fact.
Fiction. They win 7.
We made it up.
They need to win 3 more. They would have to win 4 more games.
You said they win 6 games. Is that what you said?
I
Or
said
you go
8.
To I thought you said. My bad. I totally.
They'll
missed
win
that one.
7. Yeah. So that's on you.
No,
Maybe if you
I think
listen
they.
more.
No, I don't like to listen though. So who got? Did anybody get a point on that one?
I just did.
Darcy got a point. That's my bad. I was pulling up the schedule while I was thinking, but in my mind, I was still thinking a bowl for some reason. Like, of course they're going to go to a bowl. All they gotta do is win 2
they're going to go
games.
to a bowl.
All they got to do is win.
You serious?
I know that was my
serious,
fault.
Clark? That
was my fault.
schedule sets up tastily.
I know that was
for
my
them.
fault.
Yeah.
I was pulling up the schedule for them while for some reason thinking about the previous question. But I'm like, of course, yeah, they'll win 2 games. They're going to beat K-State. You said already. All right. Anyway, let's move on from that one. It's 2 to 1 to 1. Darcy has 2. Drake and I are struggling.
I had to make him tougher because last week Lebo went on a absolute run for the century.
Lebo threw a perfect game.
Generational tear.
Perfect game.
Mizzou goes down to Auburn and wins by at least 3.
Who's starting this one?
Darcy starts it.
Oh, man. This isn't what I believe. I'll say fact.
Fact.
It's a fact.
It is a fact.
That's a fact.
Here we go.
That's not a prediction. That's what it's going to be.
We needed a table win there. Is there a new shoe? Let's get hot here for a second. 3 to 2 to 2. We're all tied.
Mariners Blue Jays series will go 7 games.
I'm going to say fiction. 2-0 lead and returning home. I'm going to say fiction.
Fact.
Fiction.
Fiction.
It's false.
I want it to go 7 games, but my belief does not match up with reality.
Okay.
It'll go 5 or 6.
It'd
but
be a
not
fun
7.
one.
Yeah, it would be a
Game
great
7
one.
in Toronto. You know,
Electric.
Joe Carter would throw out the first pitch, right?
Have to.
You know, Game 7.
Have to.
And he would throw it to Wild Thing Mitchell. They'd have to pay him a pretty decent amount of money to show up for that.
I just really want to see a Seattle Milwaukee
I
World
know.
Series,
Yes.
and I want to see the Brewers walk out in Seattle in pilots uniforms.
By the way,
That'd be so much fun.
called that in another fact or fiction before it started.
Yeah.
I said it's going to be Brewers in Seattle. Looking like a fact-ish,
we'll see.
maybe.
Come
on, Dodgers.
Well,
You
I was
might
gonna
get 50% of it.
I was going to say it's looking like that. One team's down a game. They lost at home.
Which brings us to the next one.
Okay, Drake leads us off. It's
Drake,
4 to 3 to 2.
I am ready to admit it. Dodgers will go on to the World Series.
You are ready to admit it. That's a fact.
See, this is the mental warfare that Sterling brings because he just said, I'll say fact.
Fiction.
Fiction. Yeah, I still believe in the
It's a
Brewers.
total
Come on.
fabrication.
I still believe.
Okay.
4 to 2. Yeah, because you were taking a victory lap there about the Mariners and Brewers being in the World
But
Series.
then I had to go with but I'm ready to admit it.
Okay.
So I tried to I mess with these guys.
Yes. I see. Okay. You know, when I was in college, I dated a girl from Milwaukee, and I was told you do not pronounce the L. It's just Milwaukee.
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 Huh. Interesting.
That's how you say it like a native.
Yeah. I mean, the Brewers lost the game even after getting one of the most improbable double plays we've ever seen in baseball history.
That was
crazy.
bizarre.
Unbelievable. By the way, how about umpires? How about make a call? How about make a call, letting the runners know what's going on there? Anyway, we'll start with Darcy on this one. It's 4-2. Here we go. We're all tied.
I still think the Ravens will win the AFC North.
That's fiction.
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 Yeah, fiction.
It's a fake.
You want them to win because you don't want the Steelers to win for some reason.
No, I didn't say that. I said the odds are going to be so much that I might still put something on the Ravens because I think the odds.
I see what you're saying.
With Lamar, they could go on a run, and I don't believe in the Steelers necessarily.
10 games left, and they have a 4-game lead.
Yeah, but if you
on
told
Ravens.
me the Steelers collapsed, I would also believe it.
Yeah. Well, they do need to get to like 8 wins and then stop winning, or
Yeah.
9 wins and then stop. They don't need to get to double digits.
Jason.
Yes.
New England. Oh, sorry, you're the Drake. Read the room.
That was funny.
New England will make the playoffs.
Fact.
Before the year, I'd have said fiction, but I think now, fact.
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 Yeah, that's a fact. It's on PBS.
4-2. Drake May looks great.
You like him?
AFC is somewhat open. Yeah, I think New England, and their schedule is pretty tasty for the rest of the year, too. I think New England making the playoffs.
His name's Drake.
That's right. 6-4. We lead off with one Drake.
Mike McDaniel will be the next fired NFL head coach.
The next one, not fired this year, the next one.
Ooh, that's a good call. That's a great point.
And I made sure to put NFL, so I'm not talking college, because I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, it's going to be a college coach.
Right now, I'm just having a hard time focusing because I just realized there's a severed mannequin arm in the corner of the studio.
Yep.
I've been walking around poking people with it. I've been trying to mess with folk with it. It's good.
I'll say fact.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, my gosh. Mike McDaniel will be the next fired NFL head coach.
Fiction.
Oh, my goodness. It is fact.
It is a fact. Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
All right, Darcy.
7-6-5. We're all tied.
I wouldn't have fired James Franklin just yet.
That's a fact. Yeah, I mean, why at midseason?
I'm going to say that's a fact.
Fact.
Yeah, fact. It felt a little.
Fact. It may be a fact, but it's inexplicable.
I mean, $49 million buyout. I know if he gets in their job, trial. I get all that stuff, but that's a big buyout for a head coach that's just taken you to the semis of the CFP. And I get it, he's underperformed in big-time games, but seems a little harsh and premature to fire James Franklin.
8-7-6, we're all tied. Last one.
Jason.
Yep.
Beets are the most underrated vegetable out there.
Oh, that's absolutely fiction.
Wow, this is must be a strange rating system that even includes beets.
Yes.
They're
not rated at all, so therefore they're so underrated.
Right. I'll say fiction. What?
Yeah,
You freak. You're going to say it's a fact. It's a fact.
Fiction. I
Thank
hate
you. Oh,
beets.
got him.
Hate beets.
Got
Don't
him.
understand beets. If you like beets, why are you eating dirt?
Got
why are you
him.
eating dirt? Okay.
Bears, beets, Battlestar
Not a
Galactica.
beet guy.
And somehow they get sugar out of them.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're not underrated. They're rated properly as the worst vegetable in the history of said world.
Beats me. I don't know. I'm not sure. 9-7-7. We're all tied. What's the bonus tiebreaker?
Let's see who beats the other people. Rank these Chris Farley movies.
Okay.
Billy Madison.
Uh-huh.
Tommy Boy. Black Sheep.
Uh-huh.
Wayne's World.
All right.
3 of those are the same movie.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll rank those next. All right, so number 4, I had Wayne's World. Drake?
Black Sheep.
I had Black Sheep.
Wrong. Billy Madison.
Okay, you're a dummy. Number 3, I had Billy Madison.
Tommy Boy.
Billy Madison.
Black Sheep. Number 2.
Number 2, I had Black Sheep.
Billy Madison.
Tommy Boy.
Do you have Billy Madison for all 4? Tommy Boy was number 2.
Number 1, I had Tommy Boy.
Wayne's World.
I had Wayne's World.
Wayne's World number 1. Tommy
Yeah.
Boy number 2. Black Sheep number 3. Billy Madison number 4. Wayne's World and Tommy Boy are absolutely elite.
Here's the thing. You said Chris Farley movies? Wayne's World, Chris Farley's in it, but it ain't a Chris Farley movie.
Yeah, he's
so
in
Tommy
it.
Boy and Black Sheep have to be 1 and 2 by virtue of it being a Chris Farley movie anyway.
No,
by
they
that
don't.
and you being wrong, I win.
Drake, congratulations.
What?
Thank you.